Elect Trump standing by his pledge to impose tariffs on all products Canada and Mexico export to the U.S. As for critics saying that'll lead to inflation of prices, he tells NBC's Meet the Press.
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow. But I can say that if you look at just pre-COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries.
He also wants to end a constitutional provision guaranteeing citizenship to children born in the U.S. to illegal immigrant parents. A big deal in baseball. Free agent Juan Soto has picked his team. Multiple reports have Soto leaving the Yankees but staying in New York, agreeing to a record contract with the Mets, 15 years, $765 million.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. It's a chilly Monday. We're glad that you're here with us on the Morning Extra. Tug, Rhino, and Front Office Lowe's, 404-741-1230 is the number, at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Gosh, there's so much to talk about as far as like serious stuff, the stuff that we focus on, but there's so much good stuff that we don't focus on to talk about too, that I don't know where y'all want to start.
I want to start with your Saturday of living the life. Tug trip to Fantastico. The guy who got access through Dr. Pepper to like the highest ends of the SEC championship game.
It was pretty amazing. I ain't gonna lie. It was pretty amazing.
So this wasn't Cousin Cletus, because that would only get you meth.
No, that's right. And in jail.
This was a different cousin.
No, this is Cousin Nick down in Orlando.
Cletus was knocking on the back door going,
Seriously.
I'll get you in.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone.
It was terrible. I thought he had him grinded down. Turns out they'd just fallen out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well.
It's a bad sign.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It's tough, man.
After the first one goes, don't you go, you know what, maybe I should change life?
I don't think meth dealers do.
I think
meth users
I think the ride looks too good. You're like, hey, here we go.
8 seconds. Give me 8 seconds. I just want to be on here 8
See
seconds.
if I can knock out a second one.
That's right. Absolutely. No, man. So I get down there to the Hyatt where Dr. Pepper has us put up. Not me. I'm the hanger-on. Remember, I have no access whatsoever. I'm the hanger-on here.
Is this what people do, Carlos? They're like, yeah, no, it wasn't me.
He's
always the hanger-on.
Well, he sent us the pictures of the Hyatt where they were set up. Obviously, this is a corporate sponsor, and they all had the integration in the game. So Tug is sending us pictures Friday evening showing us, here's how it's all set up. And by the way, the game's not till Saturday. He gets to spend the night before getting all of this luxury and access.
You got to remember, most people are coming from out of town.
Sure.
Including my cousin Nick.
Especially corporate execs.
Yes, exactly. And so, again, being the hanger-on, man, I just walked in there like I knew what I was doing. If you ever want to get backstage at a concert, just grab yourself, look at your phone, or have yourself a clipboard, something, and just walk.
Walk.
And until somebody stops you,
just know.
Most often you can get through.
Yeah, just act like you know what you're doing.
Exactly right.
So did you get free Dr. Pepper? That's like
dude, more Dr. Pepper, you knew what to do with.
Oh man,
it was everywhere.
I love Dr. Pepper.
Me too. So we met up with my cousin Nick's guy, whomever, I don't recall his name. Apologize for that.
Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, exactly. So Friday night was it was tragic.
Banquet or what?
No, just us sitting at the bar.
Oh, okay.
And they're at the, because Texas is staying in the same hotel with us, right?
Yes.
And then right across the street at the Marriott Marquis is where George is staying. I mean, it's literally through the breezeway across the street there. And so
you're drinking Dr. Pepper and brown liquor.
Yes, absolutely. It was. It did not end until about 1 in the morning, and it
It's a
with-
4 o'clock kickoff the next day.
Yeah, no, you got
Plenty of
time. No, you got time. Absolutely.
Did you take any of my advice when I was texting you into play?
I don't recall any texts that came in.
I will tell you.
None, because
Dang it.
None of them were advisable.
Yeah, well, it's good.
Well, one was
I'm glad I
when you're
remember.
done drinking, run up and down the hall, do
Oh,
it for
yes.
knock on
I
everybody's
did
door.
not.
No,
No.
the other was to
I held it
flip
together.
their banner upside down and put the horns down.
I wanted to do that, but they were like right there on the
just
like the entrance of the hotel. You know where you check in at the counters you check. I mean, there's people there constantly. It's not like you get to it.
I was hoping that I got you right after you really got drunk.
Let me tell you, and I did.
Like fry drunk.
Yes, I was right there close. We tried to order a pizza, we couldn't figure out how to do it.
That's pretty for fried drunk. So let me fast forward then. Wow.
I'm just telling you, we both wanted Papa John's and could not for the life of us figure out how to order it.
I've been there. I remember trying to order an Uber one time, and I was on Uber Eats. And just couldn't figure out that Uber. I was like, well, I want anybody to pick me up. So yeah, it's
they keep
happened.
bringing me food.
They keep
Won't take me anywhere.
Keep telling me about
I got.
There's Bojangles. That's not going to get me home.
Seriously, why are y'all bringing bottles of wine? I want to go somewhere.
So here's my question for you. By the time the game reaches overtime at 16 all, and you look at the circumstances for Georgia, it's a backup quarterback. They don't have a punter.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're going to win.
Dude, going into overtime, I was like, I feel good about this.
Yeah.
And especially when Texas kicks the field goal, I was like, oh, we're winning this game.
I thought the same
thing. I
thing.
felt so good about it.
Yeah.
And then it comes in and Gunnar Stockton gets the big helmet flies off. And I'm like,
What did that look like live? Because
Looked like he's dead on
it
TV.
did, man.
dude, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, that's the same way.
I was like, he's not
we were
getting up.
pretty far back on the other side of the stadium and up high. So I mean, trying to see it on the board.
Sure, you went to the Halo board and you
Absolutely.
went, oh my God.
And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this kid's alive.
I couldn't believe he got up.
I couldn't either, dude. And let me tell you, for a backup quarterback to be a stud like that, to know he's going to take the hit. But the most important thing is Rabun County strong because he did not let go of the ball.
Boy,
No, he did not.
Helmet
Hold on
came
to
off,
that.
head nearly came off. By God, he didn't let go of the ball.
And he popped up.
Yes.
You know what was funny
So
was
amazing.
as it got to overtime, I felt like, yeah, they're going to get this. They're going to win this. There was a feeling about it. And I was like, and Tug's going to leave it overtime, before overtime.
No, I knew it
it was
last
warm.
time.
It's
And then
warm
I'm like,
He was indoors.
He's certainly comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah, because you left for the audience, he left the Georgia Tech game before it ever even got to overtime
That's
with
right.
5 minutes left. He's
Yes.
like, they're down 14. I'm cold. I'm leaving. So
I
I'm
was
glad you
freezing.
hung to the end this time.
Freezing. I didn't want to leave. I mean, I did. But, I mean, I wanted to be there. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it all. But I was violently shaking. My son at the Tech game was even like, are you okay? Maybe we should go. I'm afraid my daddy's going to die right here next to me. I mean, what a better place to die than San Francisco.
the wrong habitat.
Seriously, man, this is terrible.
Two of
So
you.
anyway, then you see Carson Beck come in, right?
Yeah.
And he's got one arm.
It was so weird.
That looked like it was non-functioning.
Right.
You're like, wait, I mean, I know.
Like, you're not throwing the football, but
Obviously. And Texas knows that. And was it Cash Jones that is the one that lit up? He was in the fullback spot that cleared out the hole for ETN to get in?
yeah, ETN
Good
had a highway to run
Yes,
through for that
he
one.
did. But Cash Jones, if it were Cash Jones, which I believe it was.
I believe it was,
Dude, just cleared the way. ETN still getting banged and hit and still gets in, and the place goes crazy. Dude, it was the biggest home game I've ever seen at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, though. It was 95-5.
It was talked about
90-10 at
being
best.
like 60-40. It
bet it
didn't
was more
look
than
like
that.
60-40 by the time
when-
it kicked off.
No.
In the fourth quarter, they do light up Sanford. Dude, the entire place was.
Lit
I
up.
mean, it looked just like Sanford Stadium.
It was so loud from TV, like watching. I was like, "There's no way." There's
Bunch of false
a
starts.
lot of There were, it just didn't look like there were Texas fans there at all. I mean, every once in a while, like the camera obviously would find a section of them
Right
but
down
it
next to the band is where they were.
But it seemed like a Georgia home game.
dude.
It was amazing.
It was just like at Sanford Stadium on any other game where there's that sliver of people. And it was. If it were 60-40, somebody can't count.
So now we go to Sunday. And Sunday, I've been trying to explain to my wife and other people there's a difference in ranking and seeding. And that was all I was telling all of them. You're going to get a rank, then you're going to get a seed. And these are going to be two different things. For Georgia, it works out fine. You're the 2 seed.
Yep.
When you start seeing like what the 1 seed Oregon would have to deal with in order to get to a national championship game, they're going to have to change this seeding process. But right now, Georgia's staring at Indiana and Notre Dame and saying, which one of y'all is next?
Count me in.
And potentially, if they get through that, which I believe they can, then they're looking over at potentially Boise State and saying, come on in, Boise State. Let's do this.
I saw Roddy Dabowski talk about, and which one? Is he UGAsports.com?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. And Brent Rollins is over there, too.
Yes.
Which is a great dude that you introduced me to, Los. Terrific guy. He was like, for Georgia to have the most difficult task to get here, they have the easiest task to the national championship, if you're looking at everybody.
They have the cleanest path as far as top teams because what you have, and again, it's the seeding and the rankings, and those are two different things. You are going to play more teams that got in where they went through Mountain West Conference or they went independent. Or they didn't make their championship game in order to get that. Be Indiana. And again, Indiana's a good football team.
Absolutely,
they didn't even make the championship game.
Every team in there is a good football team. I don't think there's no team in there that
there's no mystery
I think
guest.
I think they're all good football.
I'd fear Arizona State how hot they are.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So
how do you feel about Carson Beck and the injury?
Well, look, I don't know how to feel about it because I don't know what's wrong with him yet. You know what I mean? I guess the UCL is what we're hearing.
Guess, yeah.
Or torn rotator cuff.
I think the way it looked, and you don't see this often in football because it takes like a violent action. Like in baseball, you see the ulnar ligament have issues all the time. Man, when that looked like it happened, what happened to him, and how it went dead to the fingertips, and then to see him go to the sidelines at a half and explaining, hey, it's through here and it's bad.
See, I didn't see that. I couldn't see that.
He pointed out to one of his teammates to his elbow. He's like, it's here, and he just mouthed, it's bad. I'm like, I think that's where you.
You see him say that.
You see him say about his ulnar ligament.
I didn't even see that yesterday. Nobody. I didn't even see that on Twitter. So wow. Okay. Yeah, I had no idea.
So I'd imagine that's probably Gunnar Stockton, and here is what you got moving forward.
I'd had a few on Saturday, not nearly as much as Friday, and this is like a once in a year kind of thing, maybe once every 2 years. But so Jacob texts me, and because he's watching the game there in Charleston, and he said Beck is out. And because at this point, I had no idea. I didn't know.
You went to half, and you're not getting the looks like we are.
Right, exactly. Because, you just got what's happening and bands playing and whatever's going on.
Drinking.
That. And several of those. And he says, he just hits me with, Beck is out. And I reply back in sort of a drunken stupor. Hurt or sucks? He was like, hurt, question mark. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. Maybe, did they pinch him? I don't know what's going on.
I'll show you the video. So this is coming out of half, and this is where he's talking to one of the backup quarterbacks, and he's pointing at the ulnar.
Oh, my gosh. And he's shaking his head.
It's really bad.
Yeah. So that's how it started off the
TV. Pretty up close. And what's funny is after the game, Florida State fans just started going crazy, saying they need to pull him out since that's their entire team right there. And, they started that route because of what happened to Florida State last year when they lost their quarterback, and that entire team was dependent on them.
But that was
Georgia's
silly.
different.
Georgia's
a different team.
It was silly because Florida State, and I get how they got all angry, that's fine.
Sure.
But they went 4 games going into their championship game where they couldn't score.
Right.
It was clear that their backup quarterbacks were not capable of leading a team that should deserve a spot in a 14 playoff. Again, this wasn't for a half, and we'll see what happens. This wasn't Ohio State in 2016 where their third-string quarterback starts their championship game and they score 50 points.
Exactly right. And things got better.
It was different than that. So don't tell me about that one. If you want to tell me that you're Alabama, I saw one of the funniest videos of the dude who could not be more Alabama, and as he's upset about
whatever
SMU
that man his name is,
he has no shoes on. But yet he starts saying we shouldn't have lost to OU and we shouldn't have lost to Vandy or else we're in. So even he got what the deal was.
100% correct.
You feel good with Stockton in there?
Yeah, I mean, relatively. I don't know much about him. He was a 5-star coming out of Raven County.
He's a 4 or 5-star stud. He set all the records in that county. Like I said, his numbers were better than Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. All the stuff they always say about him. I think what you saw the most that needed to be said about him was how quickly they rallied around him and how much when they got the W and he's on the sideline and they're interviewing him, you've got the Oscar Delps and his other roommates that are running over there yelling about Rabin County.
And ETN, too.
Yeah.
Man, because he had...
that was great getting back from that rib injury.
Oh, my gosh. No, it was... Look, I feel good about Gunner.
He's going to be pardoned too now. We'll see what happens.
Still coming through.
I didn't sleep it off well enough. No, I feel good about Gunner.
Yeah.
Only because of, like y'all are saying, just the way they rally around him. And the fact that he's actually more mobile, a little more mobile than Carson Beck is. And nobody's going to say a word. You're not going to hear a crack, a leak, nothing about which person is starting until game time.
This is still 2021.
You got to prep for both is the reason.
Yeah.
When this was JT Daniels that comes out and it's suddenly JT's hurt. And it's, all right, well, we're going to go with Stetson. And he never gave it back.
That's right.
So there is this precedent around here in recent years of, yes, the next guy behind him can be just as good. We'll see. But with this defense, the way they're playing, though, you don't have to be just as good.
No, that defense is
you can be all right. Yeah, that defense is playing well.
They look really, really good. So
look good.
Anyway.
Unlike the Falcons.
Yeah, well,
man. That was 21-all.
Not even turn it on.
It was 21-all in the fourth quarter. The Falcons had just scored and got the 2-point conversion to tie it at 21.
Oh, my Lord.
It's like 14 minutes on the clock. And by the time the game ends, it's 42-21. And it wasn't that, it didn't feel that close.
Can I ask why Penix Jr. hasn't gotten a
That's a great question. And I don't watch the Falcons. I don't watch the NFL. Most people know that. But I couldn't help but see it in my Twitter feed, right? I mean, this is blowing up. And so I was curious. I was reading about what people were saying. And I think that question may have popped up more than once. Why is Michael Penix not in the game?
I think that's going to be a this week sort of view. Because
but why wait so damn long?
Yeah, why?
Kirk Cousins threw for over 300 yards. They were in the game again. They're 21-all.
Yeah.
And that is when the Kirk Cousins turnovers showed up.
Right.
And again,
it's like Cousin Curtis showing up.
Exactly.
Bad things
just
are coming.
ruin everything.
Meth here.
Bad things are happening.
But like for me, as I'm watching the game, it got away so quickly, and then it turned into Kirk Cousins was a big part of it getting away so quickly. Your starting quarterback isn't supposed to be the reason that things get away from you.
When you look at the stats and you see 8 interceptions, no touchdown in 4 games, you've got to ask questions.
It's tough.
Down the hall, 680 The Fan, they've got to be getting all the calls about Michael Penix Jr. 100%. That's like Sports Radio 101 today is backup quarterback talk now.
And by the way, and you didn't see this, Tug, but Sam Darnold, who's been a guy who's bounced around the league a little bit, he was a former number 3 overall pick. He's bounced around. That dude lit up the Falcons like you can't believe. We're talking like 5 touchdown passes.
Oh, my Lord.
Real glad that the Jets ended up with what they got after getting rid of him.
I feel like Darnold was a Texas or an Oklahoma kid. Is that right?
He was a Southern Cal kid.
Southern Cal.
Yeah.
Well, that was
USC.
That was way off.
Yeah, he's figured it out, though. He was the youngest guy in the draft that year. He came in as a 20-year-old. At like 26, he looks like a legitimate stud now.
Yeah, he does. Anything side of that west of Mississippi is like West Coast. Don't worry about it.
He's like, where'd that kid come from?
Yeah,
absolutely. He's one of those places that don't matter to me.
Nah.
There's no time for that.
Not Georgia.
That's right. How about that?
So you go. There's all the fun stuff to start.
And Kirby Smart makes me smile. I can't help it when anytime he hits me with a "How about them dogs?"
Yeah,
dude, my day is made.
His speech at the end about the schedule and Greg Sankey was amazing.
Dude. I bet I watched that 100 times.
That was great.
Why, Greg Sankey and his staff. He's closer to me than you are, Rhino.
Yeah.
God, that was awesome. So awesome. I love it. Just having the because he did the same thing. Remember at Texas, he was like, they want to take this game away from us, and we won't let them.
No.
And I'm telling you, if you're a fan of college football, it's like Nick Saban. When you play against Nick Saban, you hated him, but you know he's one of the best of all time. You have the ultimate respect for him. I think Kirby kind of is. He's not Nick Saban by any means. I'm not saying that. He's just been taught well by Nick Saban and operates much like the greatest of all time. If Vima is doing such a great job and they're so well at their assignments, why are they apologizing? Talk about that next after Rhino's headlines on Extra 106.3.
Elon Musk may have single-handedly saved this country and Western civilization.
One of the top 5 guys in 200 years changing the course of a culture.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Rhino here for my elves at True Prep. Don't give a tie or socks or a thoughtless gift card from a big box store. Show you put some care and thought into their gift by giving them a gift from one of the most unique stores in Atlanta, and that's True Prep. Check for weekly sales during the month of December, and as an added bonus, for every $50 spent on a gift card, True Prep will give you a bonus card with a $5 added bonus. For details, check online at trueprep.com. That's TRU prep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
For the purpose of this commercial, we'll refer to erectile dysfunction as Ed. This is the story of Ed. No one likes Ed. Ed can be a real problem, a real downer. Ed can come between you and your partner. And if you let Ed go unchecked, Ed'll continue to destroy your hanky-panky plans. Ed has taken over your life. On date night, all you can think about is Ed. When you roll over in bed for the morning smooch, there's Ed. And when you're cooking a romantic dinner for your wife, there's Ed in an apron. So how do you get rid of Ed? Kick him to the curb with Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They're Ed experts. They understand what causes Ed to be Ed, and they know how to get Ed going in the right direction. He'll learn to stand on his own with proven all-natural therapies that don't require surgery or downtime. So if you've had enough of Ed, take matters into your own hands. Call Total Body Therapy of Georgia at 404-777-1911. Learn more online at tbtofga.com.
Insurance companies know that you don't know a lot about the law, so maybe it would be better just to let your lawyer make the call to the insurance company when there's a problem. David Van Sant should be that lawyer. He used to work for the insurance company. He knows who to call, what to say, and he has your best interest at heart. Plus, if you don't get paid, either does he. Van Sant Law, 855-GA Injury or vansantlaw.com.
Foundation repair isn't pretty, but at Atlanta Ramjack, we make it easy. If you notice any cracks in your foundation, they need to be addressed as soon as possible to reduce additional costs that come with the repair. Why call us? Foundation repair is all we do. We have highly trained estimators that will thoroughly evaluate your home and only recommend what is needed. If you are experiencing foundation problems, please contact us at ramjack.com/Atlanta or call us at 770-502-8881.
At Nelson Elder Care Law, we understand that family is everything. That's why we prioritize your family's future with personalized asset protection solutions. Call us today to schedule your legacy planning meeting and discover how our team can tailor our services to meet your family's unique needs, ensuring a secure and worry-free future. NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, December 9th. Detectives in DeKalb County are investigating a possible murder-suicide involving 5 people. A family member concerned about 43-year-old mother Molly Johnson went to check on her and made a gruesome discovery. Molly was found dead along with her 26-year-old sister, her 5-year-old niece, and 1-year-old nephew. Police also found a 32-year-old male dead at the scene. The preliminary investigation points to a possible murder-suicide, but detectives continue to investigate. New York police detectives are in Atlanta working working with the Atlanta Police Department to gather information about the suspected shooter in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Police believe the shooter may have taken a Greyhound bus from the Atlanta station to New York prior to the shooting. Investigators were at the station but believe it's unlikely that the killer can be tracked back to the Forsyth Street location. And in sports, Kirk Cousins struggles again, throwing 2 more interceptions. This brings his total to 8 interceptions and no touchdowns in his past 4 games. The Falcons now fall to 6-7 after a brutal 42-21 defeat by the Minnesota Vikings. The loss moves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into first place in the NFC South, placing the Falcons' playoff hopes in jeopardy. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Extra 106.3.
There is a psychology, Los, who drills down on things that I typically don't. And it's funny because if you listen in the afternoon to the Kimmer, then you'll hear he's got names for everybody. I'm just Tug, and then you have the Rhino, and then you have the smart one.
It's the fart on that.
I love it. What are you talking? You don't like it? I love it. I think it's great.
I don't think he actually knows my name.
No,
well,
that's
not
true.
once we played golf.
Yeah,
now, yes.
Before that, I don't think he did.
Maybe.
No, we had enough. We had enough long drives where he was like, "I think his name's Los," and I'll remember that.
Yeah,
he wrote it down.
So we had the story about how 6% of the federal workforce is actually in the office, and that if you were
6%, think about that,
and if you were to remove the workforce that is the janitorial staff, the people that clean, the people that take care of the building, it's 1% of the federal workforce is currently in the office spaces that we're spending somewhere between $16 and $20 billion on. All right. We talked about what would happen if you told these people they have to come back to work. How many would you lose? And I think a lot of this is the psychology end. I mean, the numbers are the numbers, and that's fine. I think the psychology is, what happened in 2020 when so many of these people looked at the rest of America, these federal workers, and said, listen, you just don't go to work for a couple weeks. You'll be fine. I'm going to just work from home, and I'll keep getting a paycheck. And Joe truck driver, Joe plumber, Joe bartender was like, what do you mean you don't want me to go to work? No, just for like 2 weeks. And then it's just 2 months. And then it was longer that you couldn't do this. And oh, by the way, don't worry about sending your kids to school. It'll be totally fine.
Don't go to church either.
This is a backlash of what I believe is happening, is that the federal government has made it a point that they see themselves as so important that they don't even have to show up to work. I'll just work from home. It'll be fine. 1% of we don't even have to go to work. When we start talking about slashing federal jobs and the amount of numbers we're talking about, you're talking about ending people's careers. You're talking about putting them into unemployment. And you're talking about having them now have to fend for themselves in a way that you've been doing probably since 2020. And the psychology now is, good, deal with it. See if you can compete against me, heads up, rather than having the backing of the federal government behind you. That is a different mentality where we're talking about getting rid of 1 million jobs.
It's like being on vacation. That is a headline in the Washington Times. Federal employees are abusing work from home, and it's so clear. But Joe Biden, he wants to continue it. We talked about this yesterday before, the fact that he signed this 5-year extension or 5-year agreement, 5-year contract, so people don't have to come into work. Yeah. And this is for mainly the Social Security Administration, but there's 42,000 altogether. They've decided that you paying for this, it does not matter that your tax dollars pay these people's salaries. It does not matter that your tax dollars pay for these buildings that go unused, as Los has described. You must sit down and shut up and continue to pay for it. That's what they believe.
I mean, it's obvious that the productivity when you're not working in the office, it probably goes down. And I think that it looks that way, especially with the government, who already you look at, even when they were in their offices, productivity was horrible and they're not getting things done. I think this is very important, and people will get over it. If they don't like it, they're going to leave. If they do, they're very submissive in ways. If they don't want to lose their job, they're going to stick around and they're going to go to work. You just have to be strong. And that's the importance of what this administration is doing, is putting in what they said. The adults again, and they're in the room. No, we're not going to play your game. You can come to work or you can find another job. That's it. Be strong and keep that strength going.
He announces that they're, let's say, getting rid of 2,000 workers in South Georgia. All right, that's a tragedy. Like, I look at that and I'm like, man, that really sucks. when you have an accounting firm. We're getting rid of 5,000 people because we're just not processing these sort of the sort of workload anymore. That's a tragedy. I'm talking about 500,000 federal workers, and I'm looking at it as saying that's an opportunity. Think about the mentality difference between Joe down the street who loses his job at Boeing, and I'm like, that sucks. Let's go get a beer. If your family needs anything, let me help you. Or Jeff, who works for the Government Accountability Office, and I will go, sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. But I'm
What do you do?
celebrating
Yeah.
it. I'm going back in my house, and I'm popping a beer that Jeff now has to show his happy ass into the private sector.
Like everybody else.
Like
And
everybody
compete.
else who told me 4 years ago that he was essential and that my friends were not.
Yeah, because Jim at Bowen's been working 30 years there, and he's been actually at work doing things, and his merit has gotten him to that point. On the other side, they're very happy when a corporation gets taxed so high they have to fire and lay off people. You don't see this kind of outrage after taxing and look, Bluebird or UPS and the unions after they hold that group hostage. 12,000 jobs are gone. Why is nobody upset about those kind of things and cutting that out? The reality is they're upset because these people are not productive. They know that they don't really have a future somewhere else if they go out there unless they make it themselves.
When NPR, if it ever does get defunded, and these people
Please.
I know. And these people have to join the private workforce. They have to join regular radio stations, and now they have to create content that's going to be compelling and interesting for the listener. And they are now driven by ratings and revenue. Man, they're going to struggle. And I can't wait for you to be that person I'm going head to head with. Because I've been doing it this way for 20 years, and you
I got
never
a head
have.
start. I got a bit of a head start.
I got a bit of a head start on how this actually works. You haven't.
And I've put in the elbow grease. I've learned the craft. I care about what I'm doing.
I know how to actually work with an advertiser, a client. What do? You just wait for the government to send you money.
One agriculture.
My money.
Yeah, exactly. Our money.
So, yeah, that mentality, when we get rid of this large amount of federal workforce, when this goes into effect, it's going to be totally different in American history because we typically don't celebrate job loss.
FEMA's another one that just is a complete failure. And I don't say that with any joy. I just see what's happening in Western North Carolina, and I can't help but miss it. And I had some liberal friends. All I posted, and this was a few months back, man, when my taxes come due, I'm just going to tell them I got $750 and that's it. Because that's what FEMA did with a lot of people in Western North Carolina. And Los has been through this with hurricanes in his house down in Florida. And if you've got insurance, sorry about your luck. We can't help you. I want to show you where FEMA has apologized. What would make them apologize? Well, it wasn't because they did great work that they apologized. No, it's because they failed to do what they were supposed to do. But I want you to listen very closely to this cut and see if you can pick out what they're actually apologizing for.
For months, FEMA promised temporary trailers and manufactured homes to Helene survivors and followed up that commitment in an interview just last week.
Those people may get a call between now and tomorrow and may be able to have their Thanksgiving dinner in a place that they can call home.
While the agency has delivered some, it has not happened even close to the pace FEMA promised as recently as that interview last week.
Tonight, the agency walking back that timeline.
I spent the day today trying to nail down exactly when the promised temporary trailers and manufactured homes will be delivered to Helene survivors. Last week, FEMA told me that they expected 103 trailers and manufactured homes to be turned over to survivors by Thanksgiving or in the few days that followed. At that point, they had already delivered 27. We checked back in with FEMA today, and they said that they've only delivered a total of 46 homes. That's less than half of what they said that they expected to have delivered by this time this week. However, this afternoon, in a phone call, FEMA apologized, saying that the agency shouldn't have given a timeline and that while those homes are in process, they cannot give a timeline for their delivery.
Did you pick up on what they apologized for? It wasn't that they failed the people of Western North Carolina and left them out in the freezing damn cold. It's because they put a timeline on themselves. That way, they would be held to some standard. That's what the woman apologized for. We shouldn't have given a timeline. We're trying to take any sort of accountability out of what we do. We're not apologizing because we left you in the snow. We're apologizing because we told you a timeline and we don't want to be held accountable. That's what they apologized for.
Yeah, I mean, everything with these kind of government organizations has become a CYA more than anything else. Everything is, that's why the bureaucracy around everything and having all these different departments and having to check what you can say, what you can't, this, that, the other, has really just destroyed any kind of moving forward and getting things done.
Let's say, for instance, I'm making 6 figures and I've got a stamp, all right? Like, here's my stamp, and this is what my job is. Every single document that comes across my desk, in order to justify that 6 figures, I got to look at it really carefully and go, does this really get my stamp? And then to show you how important that stamp is, I'm going to take an extra day or two with it. Now, I could have just stamped it and kept it moving, but I have to justify what I'm doing. And then there's the next person, and the next person, and the next person. And that is how government bureaucracy, when you work with FEMA, when you're trying to get something like, a trailer or $10,000 to start getting your home worked on, this is the problem you run into. So we're talking about a storm that came through, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
And yet, 2 months later, they're still going, well, we don't want to put a timeline on the trailer because that person holding that stamp, they're going to hold on it and justify their job. That's why everything slows down.
We don't prioritize actually having Indians rather than all chiefs, because that's what ends up happening is we end up getting so many chiefs that are all doing something, and then when you get to the ground, you have no talent to actually get things done. You have no leadership there. You may have a bunch of people who think they're all leaders, but in reality, they're just sitting there making a mess out of everything.
Well, that's the whole idea of government efficiency. Why it's so attractive is because it's completely inefficient. And
there's no accountability.
The belief that you can make it efficient.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a pipe dream, but I'd like to see it tried.
Absolutely.
Because trying it has never been considered.
No, absolutely. It's yelled about.
Could you imagine our veterans if they, with the VA, were suddenly getting health care that was on par with everybody else? Just start there. Mm-hmm. Just think about that. Like, if you had health care that was the quality of everyone else's in this country, and all you have to do is basically strip away inefficiency to do it.
Yeah.
Ask our guy Joey Jones about working with the VA. It's
impossible.
It is not easy, and it usually doesn't go well. Can I play you one more cut? And this is a little bit of an audible. There was a woman that when FEMA did interact with this woman, she had some damage done to her house, but the main thing was a crack in the window, just a crack in one single window. They're handing out. She's like, man, I need to get this window fixed. They denied her. This, but listen to what they offer. I want y'all to listen to this because of what Lowe's brought up, the inefficiency of government. What the window was, what it cost to repair, and then what they offered her when they denied her claim. Listen to this.
The damaged window was in her Forest Ridge condo. Since FEMA is offering Mecklenburg County residents Helene assistance, she applied for funding to fix it. She says FEMA denied the claim and told her to submit it to her home insurance. She ended up having to pay $200 for the repair out of her own pocket because she has a $1,000 deductible.
I'm living on Social Security. I'm a 74-year-old woman. And, all these little extra expenses really add up.
While FEMA wouldn't fix the window, she says the agency offered her something else. A month stay for up to 4 people in a hotel. One of the hotels is the South Park Marriott. The average rate is nearly $200 a night. The hotel even told her she could get 2 rooms if she needed space for 4. Instead of paying $200 for the window, she says FEMA offered to spend $1,000 on a hotel she didn't need.
$14,000 total would have been the number when you line that out. $14,000 for a room or 2 for 4 people. They're willing to spend $14,000 but not give this woman $200 to fix her window.
And even like the reality of it is, and I've done windows for a long time, depending on the window, obviously, but for $200, you could buy almost a new window for that and a replacement window. So that's the ridiculous point of what Carlos is making about the inefficiency. I also think it's based on knowledge. We don't have good people, business leaders until now that actually know how to run a business, know how to do things, and know how to look and go, a window doesn't cost this much. It's not going to cost $14,000. Get this woman a new pane of glass, cut it, put it in there, and be done with it.
If you don't spend your budget, you don't get more.
That's the inefficiency.
Let that just cascade over you if you don't spend. And that's the truth. I remember it in the Navy so much. They'd be like, "Hey, man, I remember our division officers and our division chiefs and our just the people running our division. They would be like, we have to spend this money or we don't have it next year." It was understood.
Our military will spend time going, we need to shoot off this ammo so we can get more next year. Like this is how government works. A $200 window fix or $14,000 for a hotel room.
They chose $14,000. That's FEMA. That's your federal government. That's government at work on display in Western North Carolina where people are suffering. Doug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. When we come back, Megyn Kelly smashes the Bidens to bits. You must hear it on Extra 106.3.
Stream Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Glenn Beck, Fox News, and even NASCAR on Sundays. Anywhere on the Extra 106.3 app. Download the app now and get 24/7 access to the live stream, the latest news, and everything you need to know about Atlanta's only conservative talk station. Download the Extra 106.3 app for Apple or Android and check out even more great original content at thepodcastpark.com.
Southern Exteriors gave away a roof last week, and it was the most beautiful thing you've seen. Family in need, health issues going on. To be able to call them on behalf of Southern and let the family know that Southern Exteriors is going to take care of the entire roof. Replace it for this family was wonderful, and I was able to spend some time with Jason and Mike and the whole team at Southern Exteriors this weekend as they came to the 680 The Fan tailgate, which is our sister station here at Extra, and they do just incredible work, and it was so fun to hang out with those guys and talk about how everything came down, and it was wonderful. We had good camaraderie, and it just reaffirmed the people that we work with here at Extra 106.3. It just reaffirmed their commitment to the community, our commitment to the community. And if you want to work with a company like that, a company that shares your values, the ones that we are open about here at Extra 106.3, our conservative values, then they, when it comes to doing anything to the exterior of your home, are the people you should work with. I fully recommend them. I've become friends with them. And this is a new friendship that I'm real proud of. And, you know, we got some rain today. Make sure your home is ready for the winter weather, rain. And look, it doesn't snow much, but once in a while it gets down below freezing. Make sure that if you're cleaning out the gutters or you want to add gutter toppers, especially if you have a lot of trees in your yard like I do, they have you covered. And when they go up there to do that gutter job, they'll do a free roof inspection, too. Let you know what's going on up there. Is it in sound shape? Does it need small repair? Does it need to be completely replaced? They can tell you. But I recommend Southern Exteriors, and I want you to call them if you're in the market for those things at 877-9-SOUTHERN or visit them on the web, southernexteriors.co. It's southernexteriors.co.
Hey, Glenn, it's Mark from the Safe House. It's a great day in America. Congratulations, President Trump, on your decisive victory. And now, another news, the Safe House has the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. And through the end of the year, we're offering huge rebates on all Browning safes. But wait, there's more. All gun safes are sales tax free at Atlanta Safe House. Yes, sales tax free. And remember, folks, don't let a crackhead or an illegal move or deliver your safe. So come down to the showroom or go to AtlantaSafeHouse.com.
Sequoia National Golf Club is located 45 minutes west of Asheville, North Carolina, and nestled among the oak, fir, and flowered valleys in the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains. Owned by the Eastern Band of the Cherokee, this Robert Trent Jones II design offers an idyllic 18-hole journey filled with panoramic vistas on every hole, beautiful landscapes, and a fun mountain golf experience. Enjoy a relaxed lunch or afternoon beverage on the outdoor deck with 180-degree views of the Great Smoky Mountains. The surrounding community also provides golfers a welcoming environment that is rich with Native American culture and exciting year-round attractions. Sequoia National Golf Club is just 4 miles from Harrah's Cherokee Casino Resort and just a short drive from Atlanta. Experience a fun afternoon of golf with your friends or stick around for an epic stay-and-play weekend. Experience mountain golf at its finest and then go hit the casino floor. Book your tee time at SequoiaNational.com. That's SequoiaNational.com. Experience the majesty and beauty of Sequoia National, mountain golf at its finest.
After nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Georgia Department of Community Supervision Commissioner Michael Nail. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And The Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
I have always been a fan of Megyn Kelly. For some obvious reasons. And then because she's I feel like a good reporter, a fair reporter. I don't always agree with her reporting. There's been times when I disagreed with her, but it didn't make me not like her.
I think she's a smart attorney.
Me too, yeah.
And now that she has her own forum, it's not attached to Fox or NBC.
Yeah.
I think we're getting the most fun version of her.
No question about it. She does not care about your feelings. She does not care about your point of view. She's going to lay it out there. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, that's fine too.
You realize how rare that is? To actually have a forum. Like we have it here in that management. Basically, their only thing is don't curse.
Yeah, right. Don't get us in
whatever
trouble
you
with the FCC.
think, go at it, say what you say. Now, if we say something that's absolutely ridiculous, maybe something might happen. But in the 3.5 years, the 4 years you guys have been here, not once have we ever been told, oh, that's too far, guys.
Ever. Not one time has anybody from management come in.
Now she has that. Megyn Kelly has that leeway.
And I do believe that you'll start seeing a little more of that now that the mainstream media is becoming less relevant and people are, as Elon Musk would say, becoming the media. Now, the folks at Axios, they would call BS.
They don't like
on
that so much.
Yeah, they hate that altogether. But I want you to hear Megyn Kelly, the reason I bring her up, because she has the Bidens down to a T.
So, you, Joe Biden, and your sob story about your rich, spoiled presidential kid, Hunter Biden, and how he's been singled out. Because I know I speak for millions of people who have an addict in their family who did something they're not proud of, who could never get out from under it. We have no sympathy for you, Hunter Biden, and even less for you, Joe Biden, because you enabled all of it. You were using him to line your own pocket. That is what the emails suggest, 10% for the big guy, and Tony Bobulinski and others.
Goodness gracious. She said what we all feel like and what we all believe when it comes to the Bidens. They are deeply corrupt. It's been proven over and over and over again. The Hunter Biden laptop, they tried to tell you it wasn't real. Joe Biden, no, that's not real. It's disinformation, misinformation. And then all of a sudden, okay, well, it is real. Megyn Kelly has no use for the Bidens, Rhino, and she has made it abundantly clear.
Yeah, I mean, it all points to guilt, right? I mean, if you say, hey, we need a blanket statement for 11 years going back to 2014 instead of 2017 when everything started falling apart and when Donald Trump was investigating, then why do you have to go back? It's pretty obvious that this is a very big corrupt family, and the fact is they're covering up everything they did when it came to Ukraine. The whole fallback to, I'm not going to withhold $1 billion of funding if they don't do our bidding.
So in the case of, let's say, Rhino, there's probably a speeding ticket somewhere that we could pardon him for, right? Probably a speeding ticket,
God, yeah.
you know?
Something.
For me, I know I got one on an illegal U-turn. It was legal the week before. They put up the sign, totally missed it. I got one of those.
Yeah.
What if we then said, when it comes to Tug Howard, we're just going to say that you get a pardon for 10 years, in specific to what? I don't know.
Everything.
I mean,
there were rumors 10 years ago about you and the moat and the cocaine.
Does
and
that not scream corruption?
Of course it does.
Because if you tell me that there's an individual event that you are being pardoned for, then I can say, all right, I see what's happening
And may
here.
not agree with it either.
Like if you're talking about, let's say, I don't know, 1,600 January 6ers, and you say, you know what? Parading is not going to be an issue for these people because we hit them with a charge of parading.
Yeah.
All right. Then that is what you're citing and what it's going to be. When you tell me there's a blanket over an 11-year period, corruption. That's all it screams.
Yeah. And I mean, the date alone. They picked 2014 for a reason, because when you go back and look at the beginning of all this corruption and Joe Biden's influence more than Hunter Biden's, you look and say, he's not pardoning Hunter for Hunter. He's pardoning Hunter to protect Joe.
Exactly right. He is covering his own tail. Because does he want to protect Hunter? Yes, Dr. Jill Biden has told him he must. So, yes, he wants to do it because it's his son, for sure. But in the end, it's just as much his tail end that he's covering up as it is Hunter's. And that makes it even worse. And that's why Megyn Kelly started out with F you, Joe Biden.
And we'll get into it a little bit later on in the show, but like Alina Habba, who's now going to be special counsel to Donald Trump, when she brought up on a number of different networks now, wait till you see the pardons that are going to come down. If Joe Biden on his way out manages to say, and by the way, I got a pardon for me too. Like, what'd you do, Joe?
Yeah.
Just a blanket.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah. Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger.
That's what I keep hearing.
These are people that
these.
had to lie under oath and to have taken part in a made-for-TV movie to try and look like somehow what occurred on January 6th was some breach of law when, in fact, it was just a television show they made up to try and hurt a political opponent that when you look back at 2020, I think, let's just be honest about this now. The Democrats knew they couldn't beat Donald Trump unless they played games. They knew they couldn't beat him in 2016. They knew they couldn't beat him in 2024. They had to engineer a TV show so you would not question the games they played in that election.
With an ABC producer, mind you. Keep that in mind. You have to understand that they hired a producer from ABC to put the January 6th committee TV shows in motion.
Think about how ridiculous that is. When was the last time you saw a made-for-event special committee hearing from the Hill? Never. And you never will. The only time I think I remember any kind of like TV coverage, which was, I thought, well-deserved, was when Jon Stewart said, I'm going to speak in front of him, and they made a big deal of it on one network. But regardless, this was supposed to be everywhere, and it was pushed out that way. They're covering up everybody who broke a law. That's why it seems there's so much guilt there. I'm looking forward to see who Joe Biden tries to pardon next and who it's going to be. And if it's Jill and others, the blanket pardons they're doing is to protect his corruption and then all the branches of his corruption and the Democrats. All it shows is Trump was right the entire time.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. You're right, and Trump was right. No question about it. I want Donald Trump. I was thinking about this over the weekend as the pardon discussion got brought up a few times when we were at the ball game. But then it made me also think about the fact that I want Donald Trump, even though these people have been pardoned, whomever it is, I still want him to investigate it. Yeah. I still want him to lay out the paperwork to the American people and say, here's the corruption, here's what I was talking about, and now, because of a corrupt president, I can't pursue these charges, but I want you to know that they are real and why they exist, and here they are for everybody to see. I want that transparency.
Play the same game the Democrats are playing with Jack Smith and all the made-up grand jury indictments that they had against Donald Trump. What they're saying is, yup, it's been dismissed, but we want all the evidence released. Same thing, Trump. Do the same thing. Yes, they've been pardoned. Here's all the evidence that they got pardoned for.
You would imagine that these people were given assurances that by the time we get him into jail, you will not have to worry about a Trump presidency in 2025 and their retribution coming after some of the stuff you're going to do. Surprise, surprise.
Uh-oh.
A little bullet in Pennsylvania changed a whole lot of things for these people. And you want to talk about they wet their pants and said, oh, my God, he's going to come for all of us now.
When it comes to Syria, J.D. Vance reiterated Donald Trump's message that the U.S. will keep its powder dry. I love that message. We'll discuss it after a Fox News update on Extra 106.3.
The Kimmer Show is only live on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
It was clear that Middle America just isn't going for this razzmatazz Cleopatra on the float, let's elect her because she's black and female.
Not just that, but blacks and Latinos have woken up.
It meant that the DEI, once and for all, has been proven on a national level it's not good.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Atlanta Braves single game tickets for the 2025 season are now on sale. Get your tickets for some exciting matchups next season, like when the Phillies come to Truist Park during the opening homestand in April, followed by the Dodgers and Padres in May, the New York Yankees in July, and many more. Plus, select ticket packages are also available. So give the gift of Braves baseball this holiday season and surprise your loved ones with Braves tickets. Visit Braves.com/tickets today. Atlanta Braves baseball. We are Braves country.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double-pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
The holidays are happening at Diamonds Direct. Still rushing to finish your holiday shopping? Don't worry, we've got you covered. This weekend only, it's our last chance sale with 20% off virtually everything. Earrings, bracelets, pendants, and more. Plus special financing options up to 5 years. But don't wait, this is your final opportunity to find the perfect gift at the best value before the holidays. Plus special designer appearances. Visit us during extended holiday hours or shop online and pick up in store. Our 20% off last chance sale ends Sunday. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
Hey Roswell, looking for the perfect bite this football season? Head on over to Nucky's Hoagie's Roswell Corners, where every sandwich is crafted with love by us.
The Sub Sisters,
Stacy
and Shannon. Whether you're looking to cater a football tailgate party or grabbing lunch to go or dining in, we've got delicious Nucky's menu items for you. When you bite into a Nucky's Hoagie, you'll taste the difference. The softest hoagie rolls ever, with the freshest ingredients that'll make your taste buds dance.
Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell Corners on Woodstock Road your new favorite sandwich spot.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
He fled to Russia.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Syria's longtime leader, his regime, over.
In just the last several days, the rebel group called HST has taken over a swath of Syria, ending Sunday in the collapse of the capital of Damascus, the toppling of Syrian president and dictator Bashar al-Assad. The Assad family had ruled the country for over 50 years, the last 13 years during a brutal civil war. Hundreds of thousands were killed, injured, imprisoned, and displaced.
That's Fox's Greg Palcott. President Biden says
it's a moment of historic opportunity for the long-suffering people of Syria.
Republican Senator Tom Cotton agrees. He just told Fox.
Anything like this rebellion that diminishes Russian and Iranian influence and power in the Middle East is good for the United States. It's good for Israel.
But Israel went on the attack inside Syria with airstrikes targeting suspected chemical weapons sites and long-range rocket storage after the U.S. hit ISIS targets inside Syria, going after militant camps amid American and Israeli concern that ISIS and other terrorists could flourish in Syria's power vacuum. President-elect Trump keeps planning to boost border security and deport immigrants who came here in record numbers illegally.
If somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need to, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Trump also tells NBC's Meet the Press he wants to get rid of something in the Constitution that allows children born here to illegal immigrants, parents, to be American citizens. A baseball free agent is headed out of the park with a record deal that'll keep Juan Soto in New York, but
no longer in the Bronx for the Yankees, rather in Queens for the New York Mets. Juan Soto agreed to sign the richest contract in major professional sports history. The 26-year-old four-time All-Star will sign a 15-year contract with the Mets, worth a reported $765 million.
That's Fox's Jared Max. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Does your friend listen to an old station whose news gives them the blues? Set your friend right. Tell him to download the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Thank you for being here. Big tip of the big, we'll call it the Extra Cowboy hat. Big tip of the hat to you for being here. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms.
We need extra cowboy hats.
Yes, we do.
Put that on our little list.
We need a new Vox Pro controller. That's a kind of a behind-the-scenes audio editor and play something when you hear us play sots.
Why are you gay?
Well, you're right. Sound on tape. That's where a lot of that comes from.
Yeah, we want to be able to say more things like that at the same time.
Why
are you gay?
Okay,
yeah, that's from the Vox Pro.
To offend people.
Yeah.
So we need one of those that works, and we need more hands. There's a lot of things that are coming. But cowboy hats, I think, deserve to be on
promotional items.
At least consideration.
Yeah.
For folks that listen to Extra like you. And for us to wear around town, just because why wouldn't you want an extra cowboy hat?
Makes sense.
Seems to make perfect sense to me too. But anyway it goes, we want you involved in our show, whether you're streaming on the YouTube channel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Whether you're streaming on the Extra 106.3 app, which is the most convenient way to listen because it's right there on your phone. And you can open it up. You can, in the app, listen to anything live or on demand. It's available to you with no charge. We partner with advertisers that share your values to make this content free. Because you know how it goes. If it's free, then there's got to be somebody paying for it. And if you pay for it, then you don't have to put up with any interruptions. But anyway it goes, we decided to go the free route. And if you support those advertisers that make it free, we would appreciate it because they do, again, share your values. Don't buy something you don't need. But when you need something that is mentioned or talked about during the morning or afternoon show here on Extra, support those businesses. Give them the opportunity to earn your business first.
And if you don't do it, then we're going to charge you.
Yes.
No, we're going to track you down like you're a J6er.
The app is going to suddenly be $80 a day.
Yep.
A minute.
Yep.
It's going to be like one of those 1-800 numbers from back in the day, 1-900s.
That's right.
You're going to come knock on your door and collect the money.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes is free. After that, it's 35 cents a minute.
That's right. Those old party line days.
Yep.
So, has anybody? Did you ever call? Has anybody ever called one of those?
I did.
No, I mean,
oh gosh, now I feel stupid.
Well,
I'm just curious.
I was millions.
Remember, I spent a lot of time underneath my parents' house.
Yeah.
They would have known. They both worked for AT&T. It's not like you could make a phone call that they wouldn't be like, "What is this?" You know?
Yeah.
Like the one thing they scrutinized was the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that when I was like 14, 15, I think.
What kind of line did you call?
I was just like, it was supposed to be like a meet friends in the area call, the party line, whatever. I mean, I was looking for a girl.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what most of them, they would all say. Meet the most romantic singles.
That's what I was looking
for.
Now, this was the old day, and they called it the party line. So you go on and you put in your number, and then they'd be like, you'd hear someone go, ASL, which meant age, sex, location. And then you'd have to give like where you were, and if you were close, then you could chat back and forth, and everybody else was talking. So you never really got anything accomplished. It was stupid. And then my mom got the bill. And I got punished.
$9 a minute or whatever.
Oh, it was like, I think I ended up having to work like 3 extra like days to pay it off in the house and all that stuff.
The only one I ever considered, we used to have in Texas, it was like a video jukebox where you could call and you'd spend like your $3 or whatever it was, and then you would then be entered in the rotation where at some point your video would come up and you could put like a personalized message on there.
Like, Sarah Beth, I love you.
Yeah, and it would be underneath on the scroll. So you might pick like a Boys to Men song. And underneath it would scroll like some personalized message or who called for it. So I thought that was kind of cool at the time.
How do you get the people to watch, though, to know that
it's on a TV, like public access, right?
Well, it was on if I remember, it was some sort of like it was cable. Yeah, like it was on a cable channel, and it was a dedicated channel. I'll look into it because now I'm kind of curious. Because this was
they were like public access channels, but they were like a cable.
It was not the quality of MTV. MTV during that early 90s was on a different world, but this was just like video jukebox.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of cool.
For that, man.
That is
Absolutely.
cool.
I drive Laura crazy. There's a free channel on what is it? Roku. We have Roku. And there's a free channel on there that's called Excite. Xite. And it is nothing but music videos.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like being, you can hit the 80s off and it's just hit after hit of 80s, 90s. Last night we were watching Christmas hits.
I love that.
She loves the
I
Christmas
do Vivo
music.
Country.
Yeah, for sure.
Very similar.
The same concept for sure. All right, so what is going on in Syria is a mess. And I mean, this is thousands of years of mess that is culminating in the collapse of the Assad government in Syria. And there's so many layers to this. God, basically, here's what I want you to know, is that J.D. Vance has reiterated Donald Trump's message that the United States should not intervene in Syria, which I could not agree with more.
Yep.
It's the wisdom that we've been looking for in the White House. This is the wisdom of the Founding Fathers. Do not get involved in stuff like this. That's what they said. We need to get our 1,000 troops that are in Syria on the ground, boots on the ground in Syria. They need to be moved either to northern Iraq or Jordan, either one of those, because, look, those countries who are going to need border security, and we can help with our 1,000 troops there. I mean, ideally, I would like to get them out altogether and out of the Middle East, and there's no reason for us to be there. Zero. We were always there for oil. We have more oil under our feet than the Saudis do anyway. Ideally, I'd like for them to come home. But until then, just get them out of Syria because it is bad news. The things that are about to happen in Syria is going to be bad for most everybody. Let the Saudis and United Arab Emirates handle this. They're a Sunni majority of people. That's the people that we are at least closest to when it comes to
compared to the Shiites.
Yeah, absolutely. And we try to help the Kurdish people as much as we can because they have been persecuted for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years and will be again when all of this hits fever pitch because we're just getting started.
This is, and I said it about Israel and Iran and Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah, this is a holy war we don't need to be involved in. We're not going to benefit from this in any way whatsoever. And these are two factions of a group that really will not end. It'll never end until they end each other. There's no reason for us to put any of our American soldiers in harm's way at this point. Let this work out. There's no reason to put money behind it. When I heard Biden talking about this yesterday, it was a complete disaster and mess. Then I hear both Trump and Vance say, nope, this is what we need to stay out of, and that's what I voted for. Peace and prosperity and America first.
There's nothing clean about this. There's no,
right.
Here's our interest, here's what we're doing. This is complicated when you start breaking down what has gone on in Ukraine since 2014 and how we destabilized it and then what we caused and how we are a big part of this war. This is the same sort of deal. So much of these factions that you have in Syria largely created by the Barack Obama administration and who they chose to side with. Now that it gets down to this, where here's where it is, and here's how ugly it's going to be, and here's an Al-Qaeda-based group, and they're taking over, and we're having to choose between, all right, how about one butcher or how about 1,000 butchers?
Right.
I don't want any part of this. No. I think that's the play.
You can't pick winners and losers in this situation.
Because everything is a loser for the United States.
Yeah.
Everything
loses for us. And this is, the escalation of this can be dangerous because the only way a holy world ends, a holy war ends, is with the destruction of this earth. Really, because it is going to escalate to a point where it is dangerous for anyone to get involved in. I don't think there's any reason for us to be there. Like you said, we don't need anything from them. They don't offer us a thing there. So we need to back off. And that's why Donald Trump is such a good, strong leader. It takes a strong man to say, we're not getting involved in this anymore.
It ain't our fight.
No more outside wars. No more coups. No more us getting involved saying, hey, this is the best of the worst. We don't want the best of the worst anymore.
Our intelligence operations, and if you got a chance to hear that Mike Benz, I've referenced it a number of times, when he was with Joe Rogan, he talked about how every desk in the Pentagon will have a responsibility for, all right, here's our 8 nations, here's our 12 nations, here's where we put American influence into play. And every single one of those desks will tell you, well, I'm most important. Well, right now, the Syrian desk is like, we're the most important. You need to give us all the assets. We need to be able to influence with American policy here and there. That is where this needs to change. And that is that part of getting away from the deep state, where the more we get involved, the uglier it gets.
Get ready to start seeing Biden. This is what I expect. I've not seen it written anywhere, but there's just something that tells me you're going to start seeing Joe Biden go, we need to allow thousands of Kurdish refugees into the United States. I mean, and I don't know what that number will look like. It could be 1,000, it could be 100,000, it could be 10,000. I don't know. I just know that those people are so persecuted, you will see Joe Biden, in my opinion, you will see Joe Biden start saying we need to allow Kurdish refugees into the United States. Turkey, Erdogan, the president of Turkey, despises the Kurdish people. Turkey is greatly involved in everything that's happening in Syria. These guys, they see an opportunity, much like you hear with Russia and Putin. They'll say he wants to rebuild the old Soviet Union. Telling you, the Turks, they want to rebuild the old Ottoman Empire that fell in 1922. That is one thing that you're going to start seeing the Turkish government trying to maneuver to be in a position to put this fallen empire back together. That's what I expect to see out of this. And the Turks, though they're members of NATO, though they're on our side, I don't trust them as far as I can see them.
I love big picture view. Big picture view. When it comes to the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, we don't have influence there at the top. When it comes to the rest of the butchers, the rest of the dictators around the world, our CIA has influence. And so whether you want to talk about Gaddafi, when you talk about Assad, whoever you want to talk about, until the CIA suddenly says, all right, we see where this is not going to work in our interest, then suddenly we just happen to take them out. Suddenly we make them we make them available for opposing armies or whatever sort of groups. And suddenly it's like, oh, they toppled the government all of a sudden. It's because we're the ones who decide that. And that's the gross game we play around the world.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing too with HTS, which is that Syrian-based group. They're an Islamic insurgent. They're part of the Sunni groups, but they're a terrorist organization.
Without a doubt.
All we continue to do do is put terrorists in charge of terrorism. And this is exactly what's going to happen. You've got about 5,000 to 10,000 members of this group that are terrorists. It's a dangerous situation for us to even get involved in.
This is funny from the Los Angeles Times. This was yesterday. They had a headline. In Syria, militias armed by the Pentagon fight those armed by the CIA.
It's the truth.
That is what I'm trying to tell you, how this works. And it really gets to when the CIA decides we're done with you as a regime. Whoever you are, when we then make them into a dictator, a butcher, he's the worst thing for his people. Once we decide that happens, we arm the other faction, and then as it makes a mess, we go, all right, well, we'll be there to help you later.
This is such a convoluted situation. Bitter enemies, rogue terrorist organizations, and this goes back thousands of years. And I think maybe, Rhino, because the United States is such a young country, I mean, we're not even 250 years old yet.
Right.
We have a hard time grasping things that happened thousands of years ago that cause people to hate one another, whether it's countries or religions. Or I just think we have a short sight in it, and that's not a slander or a slap at the United States. It's just we're just not in a place where we have that history,
correct,
going back thousands of years, that could really understand how all this is coming together or falling apart right now.
Nobody would ever understand. We've lived this sheltered life here in this, you know, we worry about stupid things that, nobody else would ever worry about. You're right. We're so young. Our children don't know or are not educated in holy wars and what's going on in the Middle East, and never will. Mm-hmm. Even in Europe, there are areas of Europe, they don't understand history. And it's sad because it's not taught here. But what we're looking at is Al-Qaeda versus ISIS versus, whichever
exactly
group
right.
it is.
100% correct.
That's all this is.
And they all hate one another.
And nobody knows what it's like to live there with bombs going over your head, explosions all the time. We live this really nice life where we're worried about what restroom we're allowed to use. That's how ridiculous it is, and we're so out of touch. But this is one of the most dangerous situations we could ever get involved in. I hope we stay out of it. I can't wait till Jan 20. I don't feel safe.
Yeah, Joe Biden doesn't want to.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they're supposed to be running this country, and we only have till Jan 20th to save it. And I don't know what you can do except for what J.D. Vance and Trump are trying to do right now, which is they're trying to be leaders before they get into office to hopefully alleviate us from any kind of real bad terrorism.
Another thing to keep your eye on with this whole Syrian thing is the Iranians are at their weakest point. These people are in a bad situation. Their economy is in rough shape. Their people, many of those people, do not want to live under the Ayatollah. They do not want to live under this terrorist organization, because it's exactly what they are. And I said the Ayatollah is not right. Ayatollah is who was kicked out in the 70s. But point being, these people are right now in a very fragile state, and there's more and more discussion of them wanting to advance their opportunity to build 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 nukes. They feel like that will bolster their situation and their standing, and hopefully prevent the collapse of the Iranian regime. So keep an eye on that too, because that's another thing that is very volatile, and that would be another big domino to fall over, and another opportunity for terrorism to take over and then run the gambit through that entire area in the Middle East. It could be really, really tragic.
Well, the nuclear weapon is the big stick, right? Walk and carry a big stick. That's what the big stick is. When you're backed into a corner, it's all you have left. And that's where we're getting with some of these terrorist groups. They don't have anything left. And the people are starting to lose their minds. They're starting to turn on their government. And the government, is not a good thing at this point. They're going to use bombs. They're going to use terrorism. They're going to use what nuclear capabilities they have when they get backed all the way into a corner. That's why it makes it so volatile and dangerous.
I think right now you're seeing the last kind of like death throes of the deep state. They recognize we're the target. Here's what's going to happen. And a lot of this then comes back to the strategy of, well, how do we survive? Well, you survive by creating mayhem around the world to say, here's why we're needed. Yeah. And it feels like on the way out for this administration, it's how much mayhem can be created around the world so that when that person at the Pentagon says, no, you need me, we're this important to what we're doing, the Trump administration has to go, all right, I guess we need you because you're handling this area.
Goodness.
It is. Put an end to it now.
It is a scary situation. That whole Middle East is a scary situation, and it's very scary for our allies and the Israelis. Now, look, they're handling it well, and I believe in the Israelis.
I do too.
I think they are going to do just fine. But indeed, it is a scary situation for them because many of the people that are taking over Syria and could potentially take over Iran hate Israel even more. So
pull back. We need an Iron Dome, like Donald Trump said, around this country. Protect our borders.
Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Birthright citizenship will be brought to an end under Donald Trump, he says, which is one of the few things that I think Europe gets right. We'll discuss that next after Rhino's headlines on Extra 106.3.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Interesting week, don't you think? A lot of celebrating, a lot of whining, a lot of blame placing. One real high point is now I think we can all be assured the hyena's day as a political player in America is severely limited.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
A little warmer than it has been in the last few weeks at this time during the morning tug for central heating and air conditioning. The cold weather is coming back, though. Get ready for it. It's not. We're not even to winter yet. What is it? The 21st is December 21st, the first day of winter. I think that's right. You can correct me if I'm wrong at Tug Coward on social media or at 404-741-1230. Point is, do not let your guard down. If you want your family to be comfortable in your own home, make sure that your HVAC works the way it's supposed to. You can call Central Heating and Air Conditioning, 770-GET-HEAT, or centralheat.com, their website. They pride themselves on better service through knowledge. They are your Atlanta carrier experts. If you need just a maintenance agreement to make sure that your system runs to peak efficiency, you can get it. They can help you. Matter of fact, they're coming out to my house later this week. They're going to make sure that our systems are running to peak efficiency. If you want that same thing, then just call them up, 770-GET-HEAT. If you need a new carrier system, like your system is just on its last leg, get a new carrier system and save $2,000. Or if you have a system that still has a little life in there, but it ain't working the way it's supposed to, they can repair any system, no matter the brand. Doesn't have to be carrier, but they can, if it is carrier, they can do whatever you need. They do it all at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. So call them, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and thank all of you who have made Lee Brandt a success. Come in this Christmas and experience Lee Brandt's unparalleled personal customer service, along with their beautiful diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry. There is no greater feeling than making Christmas special for someone you love, and special Christmas memories are made at Lee Brandt, where quality, value, and service are the Lee Brandt difference. Start shopping at LeeBrandt.com.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turfco to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turfco was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turfco to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
There are crazies on the road. Who knows where they're all going, but if one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant. He is the lawyer that used to work for the insurance company. The team at Van Sant Law knows who to call, what to say, and will make sure you get what you deserve and what the insurance company doesn't want to pay for. They have your best interest at heart and will take care of everything. If you don't get paid, they don't get paid. My advice, save Van Sant Law in your phone. Today, 855-GA Injury, VanSantLaw.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contract. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
I am Michael Green, chef and third-generation owner of Matthew's Cafeteria, located on Main Street in historic downtown Tucker, Georgia. We have been serving Southern Comfort favorites since my grandparents opened the doors in 1955. 70 years later, Matthew's is still preparing those same recipes. Come in today, grab a tray, and sit down to award-winning fried chicken, turkey and dressing, hand-peeled mashed potatoes, and made-from-scratch biscuits, pies, and cobblers. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 6 days a week. Come and see us today and experience the Matthews way.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, December 9th. Detectives in DeKalb County are investigating a possible murder-suicide involving 5 people. A family member concerned about 43-year-old mother Molly Johnson went to check on her and made a gruesome discovery. Molly was found dead along with her 26-year-old sister, her 5-year-old niece, and 1-year-old nephew. Police also found a 32-year-old male dead at the scene. The preliminary investigation points to a possible murder-suicide, but detectives continue to investigate. New York police detectives are in Atlanta working with the Atlanta Police Department to gather information about the suspected shooter in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Police believe the shooter may have taken a Greyhound bus from the Atlanta station to New York prior to the shooting. Investigators were at the station but believe it's unlikely that the killer can be tracked back to the Forsyth Street location. And in sports, Kirk Cousins struggles again, throwing 2 more interceptions. This brings his total to 8 interceptions and no touchdowns in his past 4 games. The Falcons now fall to 6-7 after a brutal 42-21 defeat by the Minnesota Vikings. The loss moves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into first place in the NFC South, placing the Falcons' playoff hopes in jeopardy. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Extra 106.3.
7 o'clock hours brought to you by Van Sant Law. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. Birthright citizenship. That gets talked about a little bit here and there, and it's always, well, you're racist if you think that you shouldn't be given birthright citizenship. But if you think about it, all over Europe and mainly all over the world, there is a blood right citizenship, but not a birthright citizenship. The difference being that if you are a blood relative of someone born in the United States, like my mama was born in the United States, so was my daddy. I got 2 blood rights. But people that just come here to have their baby on American soil, that makes no sense. Europe doesn't do it. Most of the Middle East doesn't do it. We're one of the very, very few countries that do that. Donald Trump says he plans to end it, and he said it on Meet the Press.
You promised to end birthright citizenship on day 1. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
You know, we're the only country that has it. You know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need 2, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it.
All right, so what's going to happen is, the way I see this playing out, he makes the executive order. All of these groups sue, Democrats sue, some of the NGOs sue, and then that goes from court to court to court. And guess where it ends up, boys? The Supreme Court. And I feel pretty good about it when it gets there.
Well, all right, so here's your issue. First off, Meet the Press, it's interesting when they will ask questions, but they will eliminate the other portion of it, which the 14th Amendment does make it to where Congress can make an authorization to decide how you are then considered a citizen. It's in Congress's power to do so. So if you just want to tell me it goes through Congress, it finds its way, he can issue the executive order and then be like, and now pass legislation through Congress. And one way or another, we're going to erase this thing, and this is what's going to happen. The idea is you're trying to get rid of birth tours. You've got countries that send people over here to have their babies, to send them back so that they have permanent legal status in America. And these are not countries such as China that are friendly towards us here.
Yeah, fly over on a plane, have the baby, and come back. That's what this is about, and it needs to end right away. And he's right. Other countries don't do this for good reason, nor should we. It's going to be tricky, and I like that he kind of played it up that she didn't know what she was talking about, that this is legislation legislation that can happen through Congress, and it is up to Congress and the Senate to do this. This is the opportunity he has to do this now, and I think it needs to be done. There's a lot of problems with our immigration system. I think ending birthright citizenship is very important. It doesn't mean that, we're throwing people out. This is going to be the distraction for the Democrats. We're going to get rid of criminals. I thought his Meet the Press was fantastic, by the way. I really did.
I thought it was good, too.
I thought it was very presidential, very strong, and when he talked about the border, this is an important issue, along with what he said when it came to, we have people here who have, I called them like mixed citizenship, like, families, and where you have one citizen and, one not. One that came here legally, one that didn't. You're going to go together. We're not going to separate you. We're going to send you all together. I love when he said that. I mean, I know it sounds cruel.
But it doesn't.
I don't think it does. You don't have, but the good thing is, if you don't want to go as a family, you want to separate yourself, well, then you can stay here and he can go and do it the right way. There is nothing wrong with bringing people here in a legal manner.
So many false premises during that interview, and it was good to see Donald Trump over the hours period of time just basically taking them all apart one by one and making NBC look like hack journalism.
It is
what it sounded like. But on that issue of birthright citizenship, as he's saying, I'll use an executive order. All right, I'm going to call it what it is. It's not going to stand up to constitutional muster, and if it goes through the courts, it will be shot down. But if it buys you time, because that's what that is largely what you've had with the Biden administration. They have done executive orders knowing that they will not get through the courts.
Oh, that's right.
We've seen it on a regular basis when it came to, hey, we will forgive your student loans. It was to buy time to see if they could get any kind of legislation through. That's what you'd be doing with Donald Trump. You'd be issuing an executive order knowing it won't get through the courts, but it also buys you time to end what's going on right now, and hopefully it gets through Congress fast enough to get to you.
But if it ends up at the Supreme Court,
it's still not constitutional.
It's still not constitutional. They'll overturn it.
He does the President of the United States does not have, under our Constitution, under the 14th Amendment, the ability to define citizenship. That is done through Congress and Congress alone.
Right, but I'm telling you, man, there is a plan to put that in front of the Supreme Court.
That's fine, but again, I don't know how that would. See,
I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to tell you it won't pass.
Right, it won't pass. Democrats are the only ones who will vote, for unconstitutional things. I don't think the conservative justices would ever take this on or want to take this on, and it wouldn't be worth his time. He may get it through lower courts, and that's what, Carlos, I agree. He's going to go and push it through the lower courts and wait if they want to keep upgrading it to the point where it gets to that, because the Democrats are going to be the ones that take it to the Supreme Court and say it's unconstitutional.
But do the math. If it buys you 9 months of this ending this process before it gets through, then that is the 9 months you needed as you're going through all of your basically your retransformation of the entire system of here's who can be here and the reasons why. If it buys you 6 to 9 months in the courts, then that's more than worth it to see if you can get legislation through. It's just like I said, from a constitutional perspective, the president cannot change legal status as to how you become a citizen in this country.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing Biden did that, he knew what was unconstitutional would never get through. He bought himself
he wouldn't even
time
say
to
it
get
out
the
loud.
Right, but he bought himself time to find the lawyers, to find any kind of loopholes
or the votes to get the goodwill of like, look, I'm trying to take care of your student loans. That's all that game was, knowing it was no way it was going to pass.
There are going to be some Republicans that are still in the House and the Senate that won't allow this to go through because they're so afraid of power and jobs. Now you get people like Cornyn to get in there and start whipping people together to say, no, this is important. We got to end this now. So, it gets him 9 months to go ahead and do that, get all the legal scholars and all the constitutional lawyers on it to say, hey, this is how we're going to have to write this legislation, write this bill so it'll pass, make sure it's nothing but this. And I think it's a great idea. I hope he does it.
Gosh, me too. At the end of the day, I think we all agree that it has to end. And I think anybody that's pretty fair-minded recognizes the weaponization of citizenship. Because, like you were saying, man, people send it just to do what is clearly not in the spirit of the law any way it goes.
Well, it's a major strain on our system.
That's right.
And we need to reform the idea, because we didn't deal with this 200 years ago. We didn't deal with this 150 years ago, that you would have thousands of people every single day crossing the border in the hopes of giving birth here so that they could basically create the, as it's been known, the anchor baby.
Yeah, that's right.
So now I'm here, and now you can't get rid of me. Well, that has to change based on the situation changing, and it will take Congress in order to then redefine legal citizenship here.
It has to change. We'll see if we can get it done.
The 14th Amendment goes back to slavery.
Right,
it goes back to if you were born here, you were a citizen here. And at that time in the 1860s, that made more sense because you had generations of people who had been slaves in this country that should have legal status here. That's different than thousands of people that came across our border with the idea of flooding the system.
Yeah, that's right. Just to, like Trump said, to have 1 foot in. And then take advantage of whatever the benefits are. And obviously, there's plenty of benefits for being an American citizen. But we have to protect the United States, and this is one step to doing that. But that's the thing. I think him sitting down and laying out his plan was really, really smart, Rhino, because I want other people to hear what we already know Donald Trump is planning. But I think fair-minded citizens, people that you may not agree with everything he does. Look, I'm not going to agree with everything he does. But I think when people realize he is doing this, whatever it is, whether it's birthright citizenship, whether it's the peace deal in Ukraine, whether it's staying out of Syria, he's doing these things for the betterment of America and the safety of our citizens.
Yeah, the left is the left, okay? Let them go and do their ridiculous, I don't believe it, recount. Look, they are so lost right now. Ignore them. What he's doing is speaking to the moderate. What he's doing is speaking to the people who are capable of critical thinking, and I thought it was brilliant what they did on Meet the Press, or what he did in his campaign. Meet the Press was going to do everything they could as an NBC, work or an outlet to make up these stories. But what Trump did was inject reality to it. I thought the Ukraine thing was brilliant and talking about, hey, I'm calling for a ceasefire. This isn't going to end in Ukraine's favor. It's not going to work.
And everybody knows that.
He's telling that, and he's just being realistic with everything that's going to happen. Democrats are really, really afraid of the backlash. When Donald Trump does get in office, this war is over. And Ukraine may have to cede land. It's not going to be happy. People are going to be upset. But the reality is he's going to spend $0 getting a peace deal and a ceasefire done, and it's going to drive them nuts. He's right on the border. He was right on Ukraine. He's right on Israel. He's right on everything, and he's going to get it done, and that should fear Democrats a lot. So expect them to lose their mind over this.
I would expect, just because we have 4 years of examples, if Donald Trump says it, that's what he intends.
Yeah.
There is not a whole lot of campaigning of I'm going to say one thing and then I won't pay attention to it or I won't target it. So yesterday was as much 45 minutes an hour of I intend to do these things. And that's how it's now. Will they work out or not? We'll see. And that was the area where he was like, listen, I don't know the future. Here's how it's going. But this is what I intend to do. And when we talk about the difference in the sides, how one side will say, well, judge me by my intentions, not the results. Donald Trump has basically told you, here's my intentions. Here's what I believe the results will be. Give me credit for the results, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then you should. Like when you actually accomplish something, it's the Democrats that drive me crazy with the whole "judge me on my intentions" thing. Because you could do what's the old saying? One good deed is worth 1,000 good intentions.
Yes,
I grew up with that. Right,
yeah.
My mom was like, "You can intend to do all you want, but it's what you do that matters." And I think maybe it's because that's the way I was raised. I don't know, but when I hear the whole this is my intention to do good. Like, Trump's intention is to do good, too. But the difference is he's willing to get his hands dirty to actually do it and not just talk to people about it.
See, I found it really funny because as I watched the Meet the Press and he was talking about Ukraine, I thought to myself, hold on one second. This just kind of shows why Democrats are so afraid. Donald Trump is going to do this without spending hundreds of billions of dollars. Right. He's going to end a war that we spent hundreds of billions of dollars for no reason whatsoever, except for the fact that Democrats are horrible with foreign policy. They're horrible financially, and they don't know how to run this entire United States. Joe Biden covered for 2014 because he knows he's involved in that, because that's the money funneling and what was going on. Trump is going to end all of that, and he's going to end it really quickly without having to cost American taxpayer money. That's very dangerous for Democrats come 2026 through 2028. They're not going to get power again when people start to realize that Donald Trump ended Russia, Ukraine, and ended Israel and Hamas and Iran.
And cut the spending at the same time.
Yep.
I'm going to give you the coming to America aha moment. All right?
Aha. Where's the spoon?
Here's the aha moment. You ready? Mm-hmm. There was one thing that Rhino just said there that I will say, no, he got that wrong. Aha. No, Democrats know how to run it for themselves.
Right. Okay. Yes.
That's the deal. It's like when you say, they don't know how to run the. No, they know how to run it for themselves.
Yeah.
They have perfected running it for themselves and not the interest. And that is the establishment. When you pointed how frustrating that it is to deal with at both ends. These people know how to enrich themselves and enrich their partners and to make everything work for them.
Yeah.
What Donald Trump is proposing, it's less for them, more for you. And that's where we're going to measure this on over the next 4 years. How much more it works for you than it works for them. That's what it comes down to.
You're 100% right. Yeah. And not only Democrats, Republicans as well. That's who's getting rooted out. Republicans and Democrats who have been warmongers. Lindsey Graham. You need to keep funding it. Shut up.
Shut your mouth.
Stupid. No, we don't. And you know what? You're absolutely right. What he's doing is saving Russian lives, Israel lives, Palestinian lives, Ukrainian lives, and American lives.
The simple reason Christopher Wray is out under Trump, who hired him. Next on the Morning Extra, Tug, Rhino, and Los until 10.
The road from now to Inauguration Day is bound to be littered with fake news and doomsday media, which is why Extra 106.3 is proud to continue as the conservative voice of Atlanta.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before.
The Morning Extra, The Kimmer Show, Neil Boortz, local and national decision makers are all coming to the table as we inch closer toward the new Trump administration. We're live every day on 106.3 FM, live video on YouTube, and streaming across Georgia on the Extra 106.3 app.
Good morning, Atlanta and America. Yes, I see all the reports we get from the usage on our app. Y'all are all over the place. Well, if you ever find yourself in the Atlanta area for Christmas, why don't you do something for yourself, for your family? Get yourself some Echo Power equipment. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Echo Power equipment, whether it's a chainsaw, whether it's a trimmer, a blower, Echo has the perfect tool to make your outdoor jobs easier and more efficient. Where do you get Echo? Howard Brothers. That's where they've got the experts in this equipment. They've got the Echo tools for every task and every budget, so you can find the right gift for the hardworking person in your life. That's the cool thing about Howard Brothers. They've got employees that have been there 10, 20, some even 30 years. So when it comes to, hey, here's my job, here's my budget, here's what I'm looking to do, they can point you in the right direction for Echo Power equipment. Let's get something wrapped up and special underneath the tree this holiday season. Echo Power equipment is built for those who love to get things done, and Howard Brothers is here to make your Christmas shopping easier.
Hey, Roswell. Looking for the perfect bite this football season? Head on over to Nucky's Hoagie's Roswell Corners, where every sandwich is crafted with love by us.
The Sub Sisters,
Stacy
and Shannon. Whether you're looking to cater a football tailgate party or grabbing lunch to go or dining in, we've got delicious Nucky's menu items for you. When you bite into a Nucky's Hoagie, you'll taste the difference. The softest hoagie rolls ever, with the freshest ingredients that'll make your taste buds dance.
Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell Corners on Woodstock Road your new favorite sandwich spot.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kemmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. With daily commentary you'll hear throughout the day. And he's on live with a Morning Extra every Tuesday morning at 7:30. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3. And catch all of Neil's commentary on the Extra app.
There is a simple reason that Christopher Wray is out under Donald Trump, who hired him. Los, I think there's probably many of the reasons that Donald Trump wants to see this man go.
So this was brought up on Meet the Press as well yesterday. And Donald Trump was asked about the future of Christopher Wray. And the idea that he's already talked about Kash Patel being the guy, you're supposed to then say, okay, well, that naturally leads to the current guy in the FBI is going to be out. But take a listen to Donald Trump as he explains this very simply for the American people and gives you a little bit of a history lesson as to why, if he's looking for people he thinks will do a good job and who can tell people the way things are, listen where Wray messed that up.
Are you going to fire the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago. I'm very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high. Migrants are pouring into the country that are from prisons and from mental institutions, as we've discussed. I can't say I'm thrilled. I don't want to be Joe Biden and give you an answer and then do the exact opposite.
We're going to talk about
So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is I certainly cannot be happy with him. You take a look at what's happened. And then when I was shot in the ear, he said, oh, maybe it was shrapnel. Where's the shrapnel coming from? Is it coming from heaven? I don't think so. So we need somebody to straighten. I have a lot of respect for the FBI, but the FBI's respect has gone way down over the last number of years.
Don't you have to fire him in order to make room for Kash Patel if he is, in fact, confirmed?
Well, I mean, it would sort of seem pretty obvious that if Kash gets in, he's going to be taking somebody's place, right? And somebody is the man that you're talking about.
We're talking about Donald Trump. And what Donald Trump does better than anyone else is when someone is ineffective at their job, he fires them and replaces it with someone better. And Kash Patel is a better opportunity for him. I like that he gave respect to the FBI, but the truth of the matter is exactly what he said. And I think more than anything else, it's about Christopher Wray, his not able to handle the FBI's watch on crime. The fact of the matter is this, too. NBC went and tried to fact check this entire thing. This is all they have. And they went to, crime is not up more in the migrant camp, blah, blah, blah. Crime is not up. The reason that crime's not up is because Christopher Wray, under the FBI, has not reported those crimes and will not report those crimes. He needs to be fired.
And has the major cities not reporting their crimes as well.
If you just want to tell me about what has gone on within the FBI in the last 4 years, there had to be somebody at some point who said, all right, so right now, the FBI and officials are talking with Donald Trump and his attorneys, and we're looking into what documents are at Mar-a-Lago, and they've already given us access to go in and look. Maybe we shouldn't execute a raid there. And yet, the director of the FBI went, no, I guess that sounds pretty good. And Joe Biden, well, I guess let's go and do this.
Or whoever represents Joe Biden because he's not able to make a decision on his own.
If you're telling me that the Department of Justice, and it is supposed to be independent of the executive branch, if you had pressure coming from the president's office to go raid Mar-a-Lago, Christopher Wray, if he was an effective leader, should have been the first person to say, we don't do that, Mr. President.
Waving his hands. But Christopher Wray didn't do any of those things. He did exactly what he was ordered to do.
He fell right in line with these Gestapo-like tactics.
And maybe you could give him the slightest bit of grace. Probably not. And I feel dumb even saying it. Just because some people, when they're in a job, they fall in line because it's the easiest, right? People just take the path of least resistance. But in that job, having said that out loud, in that job, that's the one position you can never do that. So back to the original thought, dude needs to go.
Well, FBI stand, their FBI motto is fidelity, bravery, and integrity. And right now, if you ask the public, they don't trust any of those words or that the FBI stands for that. And the leader under that is Christopher Wray. This country is about the people. This country is not about Donald Trump. This isn't about Donald Trump. What he realizes, the FBI no longer is backed by the American people. They don't trust them. And that's one of the most important things that you can have in your Federal Bureau of Investigation. They don't feel safe with them, so you get rid of them because of the people.
And I would believe, and I would hope that Kash Patel, if there was ever a similar situation, would say, no, Mr. President, we're not going to do that. Or if there was ever an edict from somewhere within that bureau, he's the first person to say, no, you're not going to go knock on American doors' homes because of whatever reason that we're trying to do. We're not going to have a memo that's going to say that the Tug Cowards of the world, veterans who served in our military, who go to church and who take part in voting regularly, we have to look at as being a problem. People that show up at their school boards should not fall under an FBI memo as a problem. That is what you're hoping Kash Patel would have an issue with, because Christopher Wray did not.
I do believe Kash Patel will fix that, because I believe he's a patriot. I believe that he believes, like we do, that the FBI is there to protect the people, not go after them, especially when it's mere politics. That's the thing. If those people had done something wrong at the abortion clinics that were praying in front of them, when they go kick in the front door and put laser sights on a man in front of his wife and children in the early morning hours of a day, I don't believe Kash Patel thinks that's the way that the FBI should operate, and Christopher Wray certainly had no problem with it. Even, I don't know if he thought it was okay, but he sure allowed it to happen, so that means, yes, he did in effect.
Well, not only that, he was also in charge of the FBI that staged photos of classified documents and put top secret letters. I don't care who you are in my family. If you're working for me at a high level and we are supposed to be accountable to a group of people, and you do something against everybody, including citizens like, at that point, Melania Trump, Donald Trump, and everybody else in Mar-a-Lago, and you stage something like that and you're in charge of that, you're fired.
And by the way, that's not hearsay. That's Judge Eileen Cannon, while looking at the evidence that had gone on in Florida, and recognized and got the federal government to admit, we staged these photos, we faked this information, and then we handed over to a grand jury as part of a case. They falsified evidence. That's what they did in the interest of going after Donald Trump. I'll point this out. The difference in what I hope is, like myself, Kash Patel, other people, when we brought up birthright citizenship, and I said, here's what the 14th Amendment says, here's how you would make that change. It can't be through an executive order. That, I believe, is the difference when you start bringing in American patriots who can say, we're not doing this the right way. We have to do it the legal way. We have to do this the smart way. Too many people within this administration just said, what's the political will? Okay, how do we get it done?
How do we get there? Yeah, that's right.
And even if it's illegal, how do we do it?
And think about the way that they tracked down the January 6 people with billboards on Georgia 400, and then they would track them down in their home, sending dozens of guys that looked like they were headed to Ukraine, not in the United States of America. That's what they did to American citizens. Interesting that they did not do that to, like, I don't know, Jeffrey Epstein, or P. Diddy, or Weinstein, or any of those people. None of those people had laser sights on their chests.
No.
And I'm sure that's because there's a whole lot of deep roots throughout Washington, D.C., that those people knew that they had to protect. The Jan 6ers, we'll let them burn.
Yeah, they're going to let them burn. And at first I was, kind of like, hey, you can't pardon everybody, especially the ones that, broke windows and did this. And then I'll go, wait a minute, hold on one second. Yes, you can. Absolutely, you should.
Now the Hunter Biden's been pardoned.
Yeah, absolutely. But in reality, they should be charged with breaking a window. Okay,
yeah, that's right.
And the charge of what it would be for anybody else who broke a window. That's what it should be.
No one goes away for 6 years for breaking a window.
Right. Exactly. And nobody goes away for parading that, Carlos brought that up. Parading and obstruction. Those are the two charges that need to be overturned and thrown out. Those are ridiculous charges. Nobody obstructed. The police allowed them to come in. Yes, there were problems. But you know what? The police, the FBI, and everybody else that was involved. And again, go back to Christopher Wray. The FBI was there on the ground that day. He even admitted that this is a mess that was planned and done. They all need to be pardoned at this point.
When we get the whole story of this, and it won't be under this current administration, it'll have to be in the future. And if we choose to go down that road, It's going to need to be the release of all the documents to understand
everything.
How much of an organized operation this was in the interest of making people not question the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
what
exactly
it was.
right.
It was
And
an
needs
opt to do that.
And I pray to the good Lord they do. But not just that.
Yeah.
Not just that.
Everything.
The Gretchen Whitmer thing.
Yep.
Anything that you have questions about the FBI on, and there's plenty to have questions about the FBI on, all of that needs to be transparent. If you ever want to regain trust of the American people, it has to happen. I'm talking JFK, too.
Yeah. Look, there is nothing more I would love than in January of 2028 for President Trump's final curtain call going, go to True Social right now. We're releasing everything you want. Aliens, Sasquatch, everything. JFK,
our friend
all
in the
of it.
woods.
Yes, our friend in the woods. All of it. Jan 6, all the video, everything is going to be accessible. Full transparency from here on out. JD Vance, congratulations on winning. I'm gone. Here's what you all wanted.
I hope it happens. And I'd like to think it'll happen.
I can't wait to come at you with the alien Sasquatch stuff, though.
Look,
I know. It's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely. When there's evidence on there and something, something that's convincing, then I'll listen.
When we have to start talking about the Anunnaki, it's going to be awesome.
Yes, I don't even know what that is.
I know.
I've never even heard
I
of
think
that.
you're just plain dumb. You're probably one of them aliens.
It's going to remake your entire world. To
Lizard face.
You have to rethink everything.
Skin off.
You see his eyes go sideways?
Yes.
I saw that.
Yes.
Check it on YouTube.
Keep looking.
You better subscribe
You
now.
see all kinds of stuff. I start peeling my skin like on V back in the day.
He ate a mouse earlier.
That's right.
You didn't think we saw you in the bathroom.
One big swallow. Didn't even chew.
This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Sometimes we get a little crazy. Sometimes we get a little silly. But most of the time we keep it on point. When we come back, a Democrat is asking Biden to pardon Trump after a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update on Extra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Not exactly a hard-hitting political commentary, but, maybe it is. On the road in the Bortz bus last Friday, ran over something in the road. It looked like a spike. It's about 7 inches long and easily a half an inch in diameter right into a tire. I immediately had a warning in the cockpit, we'll call it, managed to get to a safe place, and here comes a tire technician to patch it up so that I could get to my destination, where, by the way, I'm buying a new tire. While he was working, I talked with him a bit. He's making some pretty good coin, over $60,000 a year, more than any college graduate with a gender studies degree or history or English or black studies will ever make. And he has no student loan debt. I remember a conversation I had with Bernie Marcus, one of the founders of Home Depot. How many, I asked him, rank and file employees working the stock, working the shelves, the aisles, the cash registers, retired as millionaires because they invested in Home Depot stock as an employee? The answer, about 3,500. None of them with student loan debt. You don't have to go to college to be a success in this country. In fact, in many ways, it can actually slow you down and be a detriment. That tire technician and the knowledgeable product experts at Home Depot are worth far more to our society and to themselves and their families than anybody with a gender studies degree. And Lord help us, how long is it going to be before people graduate with transgender studies on their diploma? God help them. Choose a trade, folks. Go after it. Live well. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
The holidays are happening at Diamonds Direct. Still rushing to finish your holiday shopping? Don't worry, we've got you covered. This weekend only, it's our last chance sale with 20% off virtually everything. Earrings, bracelets, pendants, and more. Plus special financing options up to 5 years. But don't wait, this is your final opportunity to find the perfect gift at the best value before the holidays. Plus special designer appearances. Visit us during extended holiday hours or shop online and pick up in store. Our 20% off last chance sale ends Sunday. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
As the year comes to a close, now is the perfect time to evaluate your estate plan to protect your hard-earned assets from the high tax rates. Nelson Elder Care Law is here to help you keep your assets secure for future generations. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid planning, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, we protect what matters most to you. Schedule a free legacy planning meeting today to discover how we can help families just like yours. Don't let the government decide how to spend your money. Contact us at 678-250-9355, 678-250-9355. Or visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com. Nelson Elder Care Law, your partner in asset protection.
Share all the holiday joy this season with the convenient shipping and enhanced network of the United States Postal Service. Visit USPS.com/holiday ride.
Elon Musk may have single-handedly saved this country and Western civilization.
One of the top 5 guys in 200 years changing the course of a culture.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
It's a moment of historic opportunity. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Biden calls the falling of the regime in Syria after insurgents took control of the country and the leader Bashar Assad fled to Russia.
This regime brutalized and tortured and killed literally hundreds of thousands of innocent Syrians.
The president also says the U.S. will engage with different Syrian groups, but it is reportedly weighing the extent to which it should do so, noting that some of the rebels have their own ties to terrorism. As President Biden aims to work with its partners in the region to stabilize Syria, President-elect Trump says the U.S. should stay out of the conflict altogether.
That's Fox's Madeline Rivera at the White House. The U.S. bombed ISIS terror targets inside Syria over the weekend, and
Israel says it struck suspected chemical weapons sites and long-range rocket stores. It doesn't want Syria's deadliest weapons falling into the hands of its enemies. Overthrown President Bashar al-Assad was an ally of Iran and Hezbollah, and Syria hosts multiple armed groups.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. It is day 6 in the manhunt for the masked gunman who murdered United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel. The man's face is seen unmasked in numerous surveillance videos and left evidence behind when it's believed he left New York City on a bus. Another hip-hop star caught up in the Sean Diddy Combs sex scandal. Jay-Z is named in a civil lawsuit filed by a woman who claims the two of them
sexually assaulted her when she was 13 years old. The anonymous accuser says it happened back in 2000. Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, denies the accusation and calls it, quote, idiotic.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. Sean Diddy Combs has been sued by multiple women and remains jailed in New York City on federal sex trafficking charges. A record contract for a baseball free agent, Juan Soto, will reportedly stay in New York, but leave the Yankees and go to the Mets. A 15-year, $765 million deal for Soto with the Mets. One other baseball note, Dave Parker and Dick Allen will go into the Hall of Fame, chosen by a committee that decides on players from decades ago. America's listening to...
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Hey, it's your old pal Neil Bortz. I'm back on Atlanta's only conservative news talk station, Extra 106.3. Okay, here's more of the Morning Extra.
Tug, Rhino, and Lowe's until 10 on Extra 106.3. Thank you so much for being here. 404-741-1230 is the number at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Y'all, that game, Saturday night, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, about gave me a heart attack. it wasn't until it's only one overtime. Wasn't until overtime when Texas kicked the field goal that I'll go, oh my gosh, Georgia's going to win this game. You see, I had been to, I don't know, a handful of SEC championship games, and I have never seen Georgia win one of them. I had sworn them off, as a matter of fact. I'm not ever going back. Ever. I'm never going back. And my cousin Nick, who is one of his clients is Dr. Pepper, got the ability to go, and he was like, hey, man, I'm coming up. Do you want to go to this game? And I was like, oh, it's like, yes, of course I do.
Yeah, what a dumb question.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely I do. But my son Jacob shoots me a text after I tell him I'm going. He's like, what happened to him not going anymore? What happened to you're bringing the team bad luck? What happened to why are you going? He's like, you were going to, because he's a little bit superstitious. I'm not superstitious most often, but anyway, he gave me grief, and it wasn't until that overtime when Texas kicks the field goal that I go, okay, Matthew McConaughey's going to be crying, and I'm going to be celebrating.
Since 2016, as long as I go to Georgia games, they win with 2 exceptions, and only 2.
Okay.
When they play Alabama in the 2021 SEC Championship, and in 2018 when they were at LSU. Now, that's out of state, so that didn't count.
Okay.
But as long as you provide me tickets in relatively close proximity to Athens, they win.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, love it. We need to stick
2
with
games in like the past 15.
That seems a little self-serving, though.
Yeah, it does.
Dude.
Well, it's self-serving if you're going to say, I'm swearing it off because I'm bad luck, and then the minute you get an opportunity, you win.
Yeah.
I mean,
knowing you bring the bad luck, I bring the good luck.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for you.
The last 2 games, Tug Howard, I'm
trying to help you.
I'm on Carlos's side on this. The last 2 games you went to overtime and gave an opportunity for them to lose. So
but they won both of them.
I've only seen one overtime game. That was in the Rose Bowl.
Well, they won the first one because you left. So you're kind of like the stats are kind of.
And I didn't need 8 overtimes. It was the Rose Bowl.
Right.
I'd made it home by the time they got to the 8th overtime, which is embarrassing.
Here's the difference, by the way. You were drunk for the SEC championship.
So
you were not for the 8 overtime game because you had to drive and take care of your family.
That's right. I had to drive home. So
next time you need to put your family, in a cab. Mm-hmm. And you in a cab and get drunk, and it would have been fine.
I think maybe so.
Yeah.
I think
otherwise, give the tickets to Carlos if you.
Then you would have been warm too.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. I need to plan out better.
Rethink that.
I need to plan better. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. But it was a fun game to be a part of.
Self-serving.
I was just.
Now you think about the foolishness of what you just said. You're like, why does he always win when he goes? And I don't. It was self-serving for me to go.
That's right.
That's right.
I just accidentally
and it wasn't
noticed.
for him as much as it was for his beautiful wife, by the way.
That's right.
She's the bigger Georgia fan.
Was she there for all these? Because that does.
For most all of them.
That's an added layer.
Actually, that was the joke. That when her and I have gone together since 2016, the only time they've gotten beat was that SEC championship game because I went with the guys to Louisiana. Okay. So whenever her and I have gone together, they win.
Are you superstitious, Carlos, at all?
A little bit.
It comes from sports, though, right?
Strictly.
Because that's why probably Jacob, like when I played hockey, it's a very superstitious sport. Yeah. And I'm very superstitious about things. Like I will stop watching if like there's a 4-game loss. I'll be like, that's it, I'm done. Or if you're a Jets fan like me, I just stop watching it altogether anyway. But regardless, like I'm real superstitious about that.
Well, there's routines.
Yeah.
Like everyone who has some sort of sports background, you typically fall into a certain routine. What time do I get out to the tailgate?
That's right.
What do I wear? What happened the last time when we won? And those really stick out to you because that's part of what makes sports fun.
And then you boil it down to where your kids are playing ball. And I would imagine your daughter's playing volleyball. There's a lot of this. Where are you sitting? Who is next to you? Who are you talking to?
I'll be at the same place for the entire season, standing next to the same guy this year.
I never fell into that trap with my own kid, but my wife, Laura, will. She's planning it out, and she's saying, nope, this is what I wore. This is where I sat. This is who I saw. I mean, she's got it down to, every detail.
We haven't brought it up yet. But the year that our daughters almost won a national championship, it was the same 3 dads who stood in the same area. This Saturday, we have the first opportunity in 2 years to do the exact same because we're all on the same team again.
That's awesome.
So it's going to be, come here, Hari, come here, Logan. Like, we're going to stand together for the whole season right here.
And drink.
The worst I ever got was Todd McFarlane, who is a comic book artist, but became he loves sports and became famous when he bought Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. So he kept buying all the balls in that race. But he's big into sports. He makes these action figures that look just like the play. They're amazing. And I started collecting them, and I still have them in boxes. Cool. But when the Rangers were in the Stanley Cup, I took these things and put them on top of the TV back in 1994. This is a long time ago. And I was so superstitious that I put the starting lineup up there with the goalie, and then they end up winning. I did that the entire 95 season until the end when they, kind of got eliminated. And I was like, well, back in the box with you. But it was so ridiculous that people were getting really upset with me that I would have to get out all my they'd call them dolls, and I'd get really upset.
Yeah,
they're action figures.
That's right.
They're not dolls.
You don't get it.
Dolls is what girls might win.
These are action figures. They're ready for action
at any moment. So then you get to the point in the game, which I wasn't able to see the Carson Beck injury the way y'all were. I had no idea really what was going on. I just knew when he didn't come back out. I was like, what's happening here? What's going on? And then we learned, Los, that it is possibly a UCL.
Yeah, it looked like an ulnar. Just because of the force by which he was hit. If you're not familiar, when you hear about Tommy John surgery or you hear about the fraying of the ulnar, that's what it is. It's the tendon that runs and connects through into your bicep area, into your forearm area. And that's where... That is like a rubber band. That's what creates all the elasticity that allows you to throw things hard. And so if his was torn, there's a reason why I can hand the ball off, but I can't throw it.
He even had a hard time with that. Did you see his arm?
He was like, dangling.
It was so unfortunate
tough
to
kid.
watch. Yeah, he was a very tough kid.
Okay, so help me out with the name because I'm forgetting the knuckleballer that ended up throwing here in Atlanta.
Billy Wagner?
He pitched it knuckleballer.
I'm sorry. What is it?
R.A. Dickey?
R.A.
There we
Dickey.
go.
Yeah. So R.A. Dickey, one of the most fantastic stories in sports history. Do you know this one, Joe? Do you know about R.A. Dickey?
Not the full story.
All right, R.A. Dickey is an Olympian. He's a first-round pick, all right? He gets drafted, and the Rangers are like, all right, we're going to give him a big old signing bonus. He takes a picture in Baseball America, and one of the team doctors goes, hey, his arm's hanging funny. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, he's taking a picture, his arm's hanging funny. They check him out. Turns out he didn't have an ulnar ligament. Just born without it.
Wow.
Just born without it. And so immediately they cut back his numbers of what he was going to get. And they told him, your arm's only going to last so long. So what did he do? Turned into a knuckleballer. Learned out and had a Cy Young career as a knuckleballer.
That's amazing.
Quite effective.
I never knew that.
Yeah, lost millions of dollars because of a picture in Baseball America.
Wow. Earned it all back.
And got that money.
Yeah.
It pitched like 20 years.
Yeah, he did. No, absolutely. And
threw an amazing knuckleball.
Yeah, he was incredible. I remember when Beck came out, though, you're thinking, okay, Gunnar Stockton, feel good about this kid, just knowing that he's been there, he is committed to it, he's Rabun County strong, and then when he takes the ball in overtime, up middle, it looked like a design run, don't you think?
It just looked like he recognized, if I can pick up this first down, we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
And he ran just like that.
Dude, and got leveled.
I'm not a Georgia fan. I don't root for Georgia. I, in fact, do not like them at all. But I'm fair because you two are very important to me in my life, and I'm going to cheer for you because I want you guys to be happy. So that's what I was doing. When he ran that ball and got hit, I yelled like I was a Georgia fan. And I screamed, Target! Oh, my God, they killed him. I mean, really upset. And to see him pop up, he didn't just pop up sit up. He jumped up let me stay. And he had to come off the field, but when they reviewed it, it was not targeting. But boy, did it look. Oh, I was really worried. I was like, do they even have a quarterback after him?
Who's the third string? Goodness gracious. And there's two things there. If Gunnar Stockton drops the ball, the game's over.
It's over.
The game's over. That's Rabun County strong, I'm telling you. That kid took a licking and absolutely hung onto the ball. Helmet gone, head lashing back. If you watch it in slow motion as his helmet comes off, it looks like it. And his face is just mangled up.
And way to come back after you basically brought Texas back into the game with a bad interception.
Yeah.
You were trying, and I get it, you're trying to finish them off. You're trying to kill them. And by the time you throw that pick and they're able to score, you're like, all right, we're heading to overtime again. It's like, now you got another chance at this. And sure enough, they capitalized on the first one.
No doubt.
I was, look, I hope that kid wins. I hope that kid wins in life because the kid has that attitude that I watched that kid play, and he had more heart than anybody, that you've seen in a long time. I mean, the entire Georgia team, man, they stayed in there and really took on Texas, and that's a good Texas team. But that kid, man, that was magical. I hope he plays so well, and I know he's got time now to really learn the system and make sure that he's ready to go and throw some good balls. I hope he does it.
It looks like Georgia's got the easier path to the national championship, and I think most people are looking at the bracket and where they landed as that because they had the most difficult path to get there. But there was that one thing that came to mind. I'll ask y'all, and this will be the final thought on the SEC championship. When Gunnar Stockton comes in the game, do you think there was somebody sitting up in maybe Kentucky and Brock Vandegrift that were like,
it's like, man, I missed my shot here.
I missed my chance.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
First thing that came to mind when he walked on the field.
That is really funny.
And that's no ill will toward Vandegrift. He just wanted to go play.
It was time. He wanted to go start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. But there was that little bit of me that goes, I bet he's kicking himself.
That's timing aspect.
Yeah. And there's no way to predict it.
Because if you look at, and by the way, Carson Beck has another year of eligibility.
Yeah.
So if he wants to come back and rehab this injury and play, or if he wants to go to the pros, either way. But right now you have a cycle where you're having to wait at least 3 years to get to play. And so for Brock Vandegrift, it's I only got a year, 2 at the most. I got to get on the field and put some tape together.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with. Look, this is going to be a fun ride for Georgia fans, and I think look, Stockton is a fun kid to get behind, and what a name!
That's a football name.
Gunnar Stockton.
It is the best. And look, I was happy for Etienne. Obviously you don't want to lose him at Florida, but wow, what a performance he had, and then. I know I'm the ultimate troll now because hearing Kirby Smart just go after Sankey at the championship
as he stays onto his left.
Yeah. No matter how much you put us on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so great.
I don't know why y'all got to do all that.
And I saw our good friend Brian Hoyt. I saw his tweet. And he was obviously drunk, but
he started by saying, "I'm really drunk."
I'm really drunk, but basically F Sankey. Oh, it was so fun.
That's so good. All right, interesting. Jim Clyburn. I want to let y'all hear this from Clyburn when he's asked about pardoning Donald Trump. So the interviewer says, "Hey, you think he should pardon Donald Trump?" And well, tell me why.
Do you think that President Biden should pardon Donald Trump? And if so, why?
Yes, I do think so. And I think he should pardon all of those people that have been accused and have been targeted so that we can clean the slate. We can have an air of possibilities for the future. If we keep digging at things of the past, I'm not too sure the country will not lose its way. Now, remember, President Trump has been indicted, has been convicted on state crime. Also, please remember that the United States Supreme Court has given him immunity. And so I'm asking people who question my thought on this to explain to me how he would be any more insulated by this pardon than he seems to already be by the United States Supreme Court with its immunity.
Well, Congressman, then that would beg the question, why even bother to give him a pardon if he already has immunity from the Supreme Court?
Because I think Joe Biden will be demonstrating what he's always demonstrated to me, that he loves this country more than anything else other than maybe his family. He wants to see this country going forward. He doesn't want to see us keep digging into the past, but moving forward. So I think it would give us a tremendous opportunity for him to demonstrate that kind of concern for the future of the country.
Hoist the bull crap flag on the he loves America and he's doing things the right way. Joe Biden is a corrupt politician and has been his whole life.
Let me tell you where Clyburn, first of all, Jim Clyburn, and I've had an opportunity to work with him in a person. You know how like Neil Bortz always talks about, I don't like Donald Trump because I worked with him. Well, I get the same thing with Jim Clyburn. I ran his golf tournament for years up in South Carolina. He had a big event and all this stuff. The guy's a jerk, a complete jerk, and he's full of it. He made a mistake by saying, yes, we should pardon him and all the people that we targeted. Okay, yes. The word targeted tells you right now. That's the word that you need to pay attention to because that's the truth of this matter.
70% of this country, when you actually polled them, I think it was like 68.5, it was really what it came down to, did not agree with the pardon of Hunter Biden. Clyburn sees where this is going. He recognizes this is bad for Democrats moving forward. And if you are building up ill will within the community, because there are a lot of people that when you talk about minority communities that look at it and say, oh, yeah, so Hunter Biden really was as special as he said he was.
Megyn Kelly pointed that out.
And yet, I've got a cousin, I've got an uncle, I've got whatever who had to go away for a year on a crap charge. Like that's the mentality that he's trying to fix there. He's trying to clean up that 70% of this country does not agree with that pardon by just saying, well, if you'll just pardon Donald Trump, maybe that'll kind of heal some things. No, it's not going to do a damn thing.
Just to reverse the numbers, though, Rhino, only 30% are going to be pissed.
Yeah, only 30%. Who cares about them? They're the same 30% that are so mentally insane anyway.
Still
they think men are women.
And support Joe Biden.
By the way,
crazy people.
It was 65% of Democrats agreed with the pardon.
Yes.
So there's still 45% of them that were like, 35% they're like, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah. And the reality of it is, Jim Clyburn is saying we should pardon Trump because maybe that'll make sure that he doesn't come after us.
Pour water on the fire.
Yeah.
Hopefully. That's the plan.
The reality is that, hey, if we pardon him, maybe he won't come after us for all the bad things that we've done, all the lies that we've told, all the stealing of elections. Jim Clyburn's not some small guy. This is the guy who whips, and he is the one who got Joe Biden elected because he knew Kamala Harris was a complete loss. So he put the entire black vote behind Biden and helped him win in 2020.
Morning Xtra and Xtra 106.3, 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. When we come back, one woman's play to finally drain the swamp. She's got a plan. She's ready to do it. How can she get it done? Next on the Morning Xtra.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Pete, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
It seems somebody done us all a favor by producing a list of all of the celebrities that promised they would leave America if Trump won. You want to hear it? I'll read fast. Adam Baldwin, Whoopi Goldberg, John Legend, Chrissy Teigen, Rob Reiner, Barbara Streisand, Cher, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Megan Rapinoe, Tom Hanks, Amy Schumer, AOC, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Bill Gates, Jane Fonda, Madonna, Mark Ruffalo, Kim Kardashian, Bruce Springsteen, George Clooney, Hunter Biden, Oprah, Robert De Niro, Samuel L. Jackson, Miley Cyrus, Travis Kelce, Rashida Tlaib, Stormy Daniels, Anthony Fauci, George Soros, Eminem, Ellen DeGeneres, Sean Penn, Sharon Stone, Ashley Judd, Tommy Lee, Bryan Cranston, and Billy Joe Armstrong. Who dat?
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
The holidays are happening at Diamonds Direct. Still rushing to finish your holiday shopping? Don't worry, we've got you covered. This weekend only, it's our last chance sale with 20% off virtually everything. Earrings, bracelets, pendants, and more. Plus special financing options up to 5 years. But don't wait, this is your final opportunity to find the perfect gift at the best value before the holidays. Plus special designer appearances. Visit us during extended holiday hours or shop online and pick up in store. Our 20% off last chance sale ends Sunday. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
Hi, this is Bruce Hagen. And this is Matt Hagen. Hey, look, accidents happen, and that's when Hagen happens. And now, Hagen happens twice, because there's two of us.
We're here for you on what is probably your worst day, so that all the days ahead can be comfortable and taken care of properly.
We treat your personal injury case personally. You're not just a number to us. You're a human being, and we're going to treat you with the respect that you deserve.
Let us here at Hagen Law be your advocates. You can find everything you need to know at Hagen-Law.com.
Hagen-Law.com.
Customer service seems like a lost art these days, but EMC Security is bringing it back. I was blown away with their service. They answer the phone quickly and truly want to help you, which is rare these days. My technician was friendly, answered all my questions, and got everything installed perfectly. I highly recommend EMC Security.
EMC Security, exceeding customer expectations since 1998. Call or visit emcsecurity.com for a free quote.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPsetc.com.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. It's long been said that Congress is a lot like school.
What's the first thing they do in school? Well, take attendance. And, of course, that is probably the one thing that they usually don't do in Congress, but they might do so next year. Figuring out who is president and accounted for and who's out will emerge as one of the most dramatic daily events on Capitol Hill. As you know, it's always about the math. But for the 119th Congress, things will really be about the math. Every day in the House, things will hinge on who's sick, who has a parent-teacher conference, whose plane was delayed by snow, who is just playing hooky, and who isn't reliable. This is all because Republicans may only be able to spare a single vote in the new Congress. President-elect Trump and House Republicans have big plans for their 2025 legislative agenda, but the minuscule size of the GOP majority could temper those expectations on a daily basis. Matt Gaetz is now gone. Elise Stefanik and Michael Waltz leave soon, so it will be interesting to see what Republicans could execute legislatively. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, December 9th. Detectives in DeKalb County are investigating a possible murder-suicide involving 5 people. A family member concerned about 43-year-old mother Molly Johnson went to check on her and made a gruesome discovery. Molly was found dead along with her 26-year-old sister, her 5-year-old niece, and 1-year-old nephew. Police also found a 32-year-old male dead at the scene. The preliminary investigation points to a possible murder-suicide, but detectives continue to investigate. New York police detectives are in Atlanta working with the Atlanta Police Department to gather information about the suspected shooter in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Police believe the shooter may have taken a Greyhound bus from the Atlanta station to New York prior to the shooting. Investigators were at the station, but believe it's unlikely that the killer can be tracked back to the Forsyth Street location. And in sports, Kirk Cousins struggles again, throwing 2 more interceptions. This brings his total to 8 interceptions and no touchdowns in his past 4 games. The Falcons now fall to 6-7 after a brutal 42-21 defeat by the Minnesota Vikings. The loss moves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into first place in the NFC South, placing the Falcons' playoff hopes in jeopardy. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Extra 106.3.
8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. The deep state is the target. And I think we all want to see it crumbled. We want to see it just dismantled and to never be heard of or thought of again. Seems like one woman, Los, may have a plan.
Laura Logan, the noted journalist, former 60 Minutes, and she's been all over the place. She's outstanding at what she does. She believes in being able to avoid censorship and telling the stories that'll help the American people. And the more she's done that, the more she's come to a little bit more of our side.
Yeah.
She's talks. Censorship is another one of those that's driven her from probably a little bit left leaning to us. It's just the fact of what has gone on. So she ended up giving a discussion point about what is going on with your tax dollars? And this is the deep state to a T. As much as we want to reform what's going on with the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Pentagon, we also need to handle what we're funding. Those are those NGOs, those companies out there. And she's going to spell this out for you. 50 seconds to make you understand your tax dollars are being used for what the government ultimately wants. They want to censor free speech. They can't do it. So they have to use private companies to do it. Take a listen.
David Brock, for example, another political assassin, now runs an organization called Facts First USA, which is designed to make sure that your research, Dr. Hazan, never reaches the people or the public. There are other organizations like Defeat Disinfo, which claims to be a PAC that goes after disinformation, particularly set up to target COVID and throughout COVID with General Stanley McChrystal and the other people that advise that organization. But what, Senator Johnson, it's not a secret that these organizations exist. What is not widely known and talked about is that it's paid for by us. It's paid for by the taxpayers in your omnibus spending bills that get shoved through the House and the Senate against the will of the people of this country. There are cutouts for these NGOs, and what they do is they launder this money, they pass it from one NGO to the next, and in the name of preventing the spread of disinformation, they censor, silence, intimidate, and punish.
We are funding the deep state. As much as we want to say it's strictly about government, it's also the offshoots of government.
Oh, yeah.
These private companies that then do the government's will because the First Amendment does not allow them to do it. So instead, these private companies do the dirty work. If we stop that funding as well, we're really hurting this entire thing.
But y'all, you can even take this, and this is hard for me to talk about because my faith is important to me, but there's plenty of Catholic charities that are involved with getting people across the border and taking care of them when they get across the border, which is not right. It's still unethical. It's still wrong in the way that it's being handled. And, that's something that I don't think a lot of people want to talk about. It ain't anything that I necessarily want to talk about. But that's another reason, another example of how NGOs and the deep state are working together.
Yeah, this is why everybody's so afraid of Elon Musk, so afraid of Vivek and Donald Trump and everyone else, because there's so much deep state money. And the normal citizen doesn't know about it because they get distracted with, well, this is somebody who really needs to be called he and her and she and them and this, and they get distracted with all these things, and they have no idea where their money's going, what it's going to, or how dangerous this is. And I love the fact that this is getting exposed more and more every single day. There is a lot of bad things that are happening. A lot of that money, even churches and everybody else that are giving to bring people across, are also bringing across human trafficking, drugs, and everything else. Yeah. And this is a real big problem, and I hope we break it down. The easiest way is to look through your books, see what you can eliminate. This is one of those things.
There is a foundation out there, and this is called the Freedom Foundation.
Sounds wonderful.
FreedomFoundation.com. Oh, sounds great. What are they looking to do? We're looking to battle misinformation. Now they have a video that's right on the front. It is, you'll notice, Hillary Clinton.
That's an automatic turnoff. That's a negative. That's a hard pass for me.
What did Hillary Clinton point out about information online? That it is hurting them from taking total control, that they're not able to control the message. So what happens is your tax dollars make cutouts for the Freedom Foundation, which again, if it has like a line item, you're like, $5 million to Freedom Foundation. You're like, that sounds like an awesome idea.
Yeah, that's right.
This organization is strictly put together to make sure that you don't know what's going on in this world, and how can they curtail information finding its way to your hands.
Yeah, how do we keep you in the blind? And the mainstream media is not reporting on it.
Of course not.
They have no desire to let you know.
As much as we talk about governments, the deep state, this is the deep state. Well, all of it's the deep state.
But don't you? But you would include media in that too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the thing that.
But their job, the minute that you have Tucker Carlson, and let's say he has an interview with someone, what happens is companies like this spring into action and immediately start posting to YouTube, to X, to wherever they need to about how this is misinformation, this is wrong, this is not correct. Remember, this is has been executed to a point where it's been effective that we saw this during the campaign. Remember when we read the stories about how the Kamala Harris campaign were making it a point to use their own people? They were funding for them to basically have community notes that were hurting Donald Trump while helping them. It is information game. That is what they're paying. That is what you're paying for.
It's sick. It's sick what we've become, and that's why I'm hoping that we can break this all down and get rid of all the waste and all the ridiculous things that we continue to spend money on. It's just disgusting how quick and it gets out of control to the point where taxpayers are now stuck with all these ridiculous things that we're paying for.
But I believe probably some of these organizations early on, years and years and years and years ago, started out with some sort, at least a sliver of noble cause.
You would hope.
And it has been infiltrated by money, and then people are like, oh, wait, we could do this and get paid?
The one you know the most about is Media Matters.
That's right.
Media Matters, that is strictly a far left think tank, and they're going to call balls and strikes based on the information that helps their organization and their politics. And yet they draw on taxpayer money so that they can fight the good fight for the American taxpayer. No, they're out there trying to censor information for American people because it does not help their political cause. That's what Laura Logan was bringing up. Laura Logan laid it out.
And I believe that under Donald Trump, I don't know if he can stop it altogether, but I can at least see him putting a good old college effort on reeling that stuff in. And especially with the team around him. Vivek's a brilliant guy. Elon's Doge.
Cut out these things.
Absolutely right.
If you can survive on your own, then survive on your own, or at the very least, draw your money from the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Rather than the American citizen.
Absolutely, man. That's the thing that I think
because I don't want you getting my money for this stuff.
I don't want to share my money with anybody.
But if you
unless it's on my, this is like tithing in our church, we choose to do that. We don't get a choice with PBS.
But if you want to go to Soros or the Clintons, well, then I'll clearly know what your organization's about. As it stands now, you get to pretend like it's not what it's about because you're getting the money from the federal government
and make a good judgment call on it. Right? You're able to say, "Oh, I see what's happening here." Morning Extra and Extra 106.3, Donald Trump said he plans to pardon the January 6thers, which is what I told you last week. I'm in favor of pardoning them, every one of them. I don't care what they did. I don't care if they broke a window. I don't care if they're parading. I don't care if they're accused. I don't care what they're accused of. They have been persecuted beyond what is acceptable, in my opinion. Locked up for years. In many cases, no accessibility to lawyers, to legal defense. Some of them were tracked down like dogs. You didn't see any of that happening with the BLM folks who are back. We'll get to that a little later. You didn't see any of that with the Summer of Love, people setting houses on fire, businesses on fire, the entire city of Minneapolis on fire. You didn't see any of that because it was all politically motivated. Now, Donald Trump, he said he plans to pardon them unless they did something crazy, which I think he's giving himself a little bit of an out there, and I'm not exactly sure why. So I guess we'll have to see it to fruition. Have to see how everything turns out to get to that, because I believe every one of them should be pardoned regardless.
Yeah, he's going to look into the cases. That's all that means. But, it depends on the pardoning. I think what you end up doing is, I think when he talks about the crazy people, it's the ones that broke windows and did things, and I think they get charged for just that. You lower it down. Maybe. Not pardoned, but you're going, or maybe,
everybody should be out of jail.
I think everybody's out.
Every single person should
Every single one of them should. And I have no problem with him doing exactly what needs to be done, which is absolutely pardoning every single one of them, even the ones that people consider crazy. Because remember, Jacob Chansley, otherwise known as the QAnon shaman, he was put in jail, put there, kept there until they said, well, but here's the video. They walked him in. He didn't do what they said. All the things Jan 6 special committee TV show, which was as fake as Lost on TV, is that here's the truth. Here's the video. And what did they do? They released him. They kept him there for what? And they've done it to grandmothers. They've done it on parading and obstruction charges that should never have been processed.
I'll give Trump the benefit of the doubt because I've got no reason not to, Los. But if he gets cold feet on this one, I don't think he will. But that weird, unless they did something crazy, stands out to me, and it bothers me a little bit because even if they did something crazy, like Rhino was just saying, it's breaking windows, it's going into rooms that you weren't supposed to. Maybe it's standing on Nancy Pelosi's desk. I don't know. I just don't know that anything happened on January 6th that was crazier than anything that happened in Minneapolis or places in similar situations.
If you want to tell me time served is 2 or 3 years, based on whatever you want to say you did, and what we have.
Yep.
Again, when you look at what the alleged issues occurred, there's not going to be some litany of assault charges. A lot of these are you were at the wrong place, wrong time, and you were parading, or you were interfering with a government event. All right, you did your 2 or 3 years. That's 2 or 3 years more than any one of these jokers that was doing anything during that year. Pardon them all.
It seems so obvious to me that that's what needs to happen, and I'm hoping what will happen. But
arson should get you 5 years.
But if you've already been in 6,
arson got you nothing in Minneapolis.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
And it got you nothing in Nashville. And it got you nothing here in Atlanta.
Are there other things that I'm looking over that need to be done this way, like the January 6th? Like the people, I'll give you an example. There's a lady from Cleveland, Tennessee, and her name escapes me right now. If you know it, 404-741-1230, or otherwise I'll
Jen.
look it up. It's not Jen. Oh. But she was the one up in New York City that was praying in front of an abortion clinic. She's got a husband and 3 kids back home in Cleveland, Tennessee, and she is going to do like 3 years in jail for this.
Yeah.
Another one that needs to be pardoned. For praying in front of an abortion clinic. So there's things like that I think Trump needs to go in and rectify, because those people, in comparison, even if it's illegal to pray in front of an abortion clinic, and I don't believe it is, it's all politically motivated. It was all politically targeted with whatever you didn't align with the administration or the FBI or whomever, we're going to come after you. I think Trump has to rectify all of this. Going back to Jim Clyburn, talking about making the slate clean, that's making the slate clean.
It's Bevel and Williams.
Yes.
And what they did, this administration got drunk on this power. If they felt very comfortable going after Donald Trump, then how do you think they felt about old lady praying in front of abortion? We're going to make an example of you. We did it to Trump. We can do it to every single one of you. When a country goes into a banana republic, and that is why you had a huge electoral vote victory, because this country recognized we need to get out of banana republic status. We need to reestablish rule of law and faith in our foundations. If you're willing to go after Trump, you have no problem with a woman praying in front of an abortion clinic.
She's got no power. She can't even afford a lawyer, most likely. Not one that's going to go up against the federal government.
And you should not be afraid of your government for praying in front of a clinic.
But people are. But people,
and who did that?
Yeah,
this administration.
Yeah,
and you watch as the UK is, they're deep in this. They're
arresting people for just posting on social media.
There was a guy outside quietly in his mind praying, and the police came up and said, "What are you thinking about?" And he was like, "Are you serious right now?" Well, because he had his head bowed and his hands together. And he said, "Well, I'm praying for, my daughter, and I'm praying for the lost souls of all the, my children that are dying every day in one of these clinics." And she told him, "You have to leave. You can't sit here with your head down." He goes, "Well, this is public." That's the kind of crap that is happening all over the world right now. We can't allow that to come here. Yeah. We can't allow this socialist idea, this communist idea of telling us to shut down prayer and thought. And it's so sick that we're allowing that. I'm glad it's over. I am so glad that the entire Biden-Harris, because Harris would have been 10 times worse. I mean, we have, we dodged a bullet.
So they'll tell you all the time about these people are blocking access to clinics. All right, I've watched for the better part of 2 years people burning down a construction site, and nothing happens to those Antifa jokers around here. It's like, all right, times are changing. I was like, you know what you're going to be able to do? You're going to be able to get your pardon, and then we're going to keep things moving. And let's make sure that the people that are part of the teachers' lounge, y'all are going to catch some cases too.
That's right. You're back to being able to exercise your right as an American citizen to peacefully protest, not destructively protest, because those are the people that actually were able to
burn down a construction site. We'll see you in 48 months.
That's exactly right. When we come back on Extra 106.3, Tug, Rhino, and Los, the new White House counsel spills the beans on Biden. Lord, I loved seeing her do press conferences. Next on the Morning Extra. Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
The same ballless bastards who wouldn't stand up when Biden came up with the most embarrassing and worst withdrawal in the history of the U.S. military. Yeah. Who wouldn't stand up when they pushed drag queens in recruitment, and now they can't get anybody to join. Who didn't stand up when the DI stuff was shoved down their throat, where they all kept quiet in the background, will suddenly find their balls when Trump is president. This is the same military a few years ago when Milley was in charge, who said he would alert the Chinese military if Trump was going to do something against them, which is treason. Why is his head not on a pike?
That story disappeared. That story was a story for maybe a day and a half, and it was like a side note saying, well, he even told the Chinese once he really ought to and it was just like it was like a Shakespearean aside. That black ram is stopping your white you. I mean, I couldn't freaking believe it. It's gone. Nobody remembers that stuff.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before Before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law, don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is.
It's December 9th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is Christmas Card Day. The first commercial Christmas card was created in England by Sir Henry Cole in 1843. Go ahead, send one using regular mail, or you can send your cards online as well. On this day in 2020, Canada approves the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for COVID-19 in the fight against the global pandemic. In 2017, same-sex marriage is legalized in Australia. Noah Webster establishes New York's first ever newspaper in 1793 called the American Minerva. Born on this day in 1934, Academy Award-winning actress Judi Dench.
And how the hell did you find out where I lived?
Same way I found out your name. I thought M was a randomly assigned letter. I had no idea it stood for.
Utter one more syllable and I'll have you killed.
She played M, the chief of MI6 in 8 James Bond movies. I'm CJ Papa, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Extra 106.3 is dedicated to being your conservative voice as things change in Washington. We bring you trusted local and national voices, Atlanta radio legends like Neil Bortz and The Kimmer, and the international resources of Fox News. The conservative voice of Atlanta, Extra 106.3 FM, and streaming across Georgia on the Extra 106.3 app.
I think Elena Haba is pretty awesome. I think she's pretty... Well, that's too. I was just going to leave it at pretty.
She's hot.
She is very, very attractive lady. But more than that, she's very effective. And I used to do this legal show, and one of the lawyers on the show decided he was not a fan of Elena Haba. And it was always just run her down. She's not effective. She can't do this. She can't do that.
Is it because he wore bike shorts or something?
I have no idea. I'm not sure about what happens in their spare time. But I will say that every one of the criticisms has fallen away because everything she's involved in has been effective. All of these fake, these bogus, these politically targeting, politically motivated prosecutions of Donald Trump have all fallen away. So I don't know how that person feels about her anymore, but I think it's just because she worked for Donald Trump that the guy that I'm talking about didn't like her. Buddy, I tell you what, she is not missing a beat when she's going to step into the role as counsel for the White House. And she knows a lot about what's going on with those Bidens.
Well, winning does that to you, doesn't it? It's like when you're winning, here's how it plays out. And when you spend the time telling people for the better part of 2 years, these are selective prosecutions that will not stand muster when it comes to them being taken a look at by a higher court. And sure enough, what has happened? Whether it's the Supreme Court or whether it's now you have the local court saying, yeah, we're just going to dismiss the charges here, or we're not going to move on to sentencing. They recognize this was a total witch hunt, which is what they were talking about the entire time. So who wins? Elena Haba and Donald Trump. So with that in mind, take a listen to, as she's doing some network hits, she tells you what's coming next for the Biden administration. And I'm telling you, this will be damning to the entire group, the entire legacy, the entire party.
You heard Binder say that Joe Biden, was he wrestling with this pardon? Do you believe there was a lot of wrestling with the idea of pardoning your son?
No, and I guarantee you, and you can quote me on this, I'll come on your show when it happens, he's going to pardon himself, he's going to pardon his family, Shifty Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, and anybody else who had their hands in the cookie jar. I do not doubt it. So all we're hearing is leaks of something we already knew. They lied to us during the election. The American people saw through it, and now here we are. Pardon after pardon will be handed out. And And I assure you of that. Listen, KJP's admitting it. More are to come, but it's going to be rocking the nation when we see who it is that he pardons.
Look, I love her. I absolutely love the fact that Donald Trump said this is going to be my White House counsel. When she stood in front of the court and talked about the unconstitutional gag order that they put on her, Judge Merchant, when she talked about, hold on one second, this judge has donated to the Biden campaign. Not only that, his daughter
is an employee
in charge of the campaign. We got a problem here when she starts really telling you the truth, because that's what she does. But she's also cutthroat, and she is ready to take you out when you do something wrong. I love it. She's part of that new right, Lo. She's part of that, like, they're the ones who don't care what they say anymore. They're going to come at you.
Well, this is where the benefit of the doubt ends up occurring. When you play the game straight, then you say, here's what we're going to do, and here's the legal aspect of it. And when the other team is not, by the time this all falls back in your favor, when you recognize that what was done illegally, was done unconstitutionally, you come out looking like the person who was always the smartest person in that room. When she would stand out there and say, what do you mean this man? I talked about it when it happened, when there was a gag order. And basically, Donald Trump was told you weren't allowed to discuss the case. And I said, your First Amendment rights don't end on the courthouse steps. Alina Habba was the person right there with me who was like, this is illegal. This is not allowed. And now when you look back at it, you realize what a clown show that really was.
And then it was so impressive when that was coming down, when her, and I would imagine she advised Donald Trump on this. They probably discussed it. I don't know whose idea it was, but it was brilliant. Remember, he was up there in front when he said he wasn't able to speak for himself. Then he started referencing articles that had been written about what was being done to him. He was able to work around this illegal gag order and use other people's words in place of his own to say exactly what he wanted to say anyway. And I think that's partially the brilliance of Donald Trump, but also I guarantee you that Alina Habba was right there with him going, here's the way we tackle this.
Yeah, she's been brilliant every way. She's been used by Donald Trump to, to really fight injustice after injustice that came at him. And I think she's very tactical when she tears people apart, because she knows exactly what she's doing. She might be one of the strongest defense attorneys I've ever seen, and really understands not only just the defense, but the Constitution, how it works and why, and government. I think it's a brilliant pick by him.
Well, so when you had her going back and forth with Judge Kaplan over everything that was that E. Jean Carroll case, and the news media covered as, look at them just smash her to bits. She's not what she was bringing up, and it's now played out correctly. It's like, wait a minute, this judge is bought and paid for. Look at some of his campaign donations. He is not allowed to do what he was doing, and the judge ended up having to threaten her. I will put you in jail if you keep bringing this up.
Surprise, surprise that somebody on the left would do that.
Fast forward 11 months, and everything was true. Everything was vindicated.
Yeah, and I expect that you're going to see more of this, too, with Alina Habba.
So, by the way, when she tells you, here's what's coming next, it's very Donald Trump-esque. All right, I'm going to believe her because she told me what was happening at the time, how it was going to play out, how the law eventually was going to show you that this man was prosecuted in an unfair manner, and now she's telling you that Joe Biden is going to try and cover for, if they didn't do anything, if Adam Schiff didn't do anything, why does he need a pardon?
No, that's right.
If Anthony Fauci didn't do anything, why does he need a pardon? If Joe Biden was just a faithful steward of the presidency, why is he looking to get a pardon for himself?
Look, I'm no Alina Habba by any means.
Not even close.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
But I mean, as a mind, I'm definitely not her as a mind. And even I could figure out that these pardons were coming. I mean, as she mentioned, KJP has already said this is what's coming. They've not told you exactly who it is, but all you have to do is fill in the blanks. You could probably figure it out. But that's the thing that will be, I think, the lasting memory of the Biden administration. When they do this as their last act of official duty, it will put the stamp of corruption on their administration for the last 4 years. And the news media tried to tell you otherwise. Everybody on the left tried to tell you, no, Joe Biden cares. Jim Clyburn,
Family Guy.
That's right.
He's
none of those things. Yeah. He is a corrupt man.
Peter Griffin, maybe Family Guy. Dumb.
He's a corrupt man that cares about himself above anything, including America.
He doesn't even care about his son. Let's be real.
Right.
He doesn't care about Hunter. He's pardoning Hunter to pardon himself and other, like maybe Jill. That's what he's pardoning Hunter for. Jill, Joe, they're all some of the most corrupt people in the world. Don't forget, Jill was having an affair with Joe Biden. Both of his kids, okay, and I don't know much about Beau. I'm not going to say anything except for thank you for serving our country. But the reality is the other two kids, complete drug addict, sex addict messes. That doesn't happen with the love of a father around, by the way.
This reminds me a little bit. I don't know about y'all. Do you ever watch the show Succession? Did y'all watch that on HBO?
I didn't.
Okay,
but I know it's good.
Yeah, it was.
It was really well done.
Yeah, it was. But it Board Up Joe is giving me the thumbs up.
One of the best ever.
Yeah, we watched the entire. It was incredible. Characters are all well defined. Everything's great. But the dysfunction in the family, where they were at each other's throats about everything. Everybody wanted to be in power. Everybody wanted to be the one that the father that was handing off the company to. It was this big media conglomerate, and they would stab each other in the back nonstop. Mm-hmm. That reminds me of the Biden family. Just the way that they operate, the way that they function. Joe, after Hunter only pardons him to save himself. Hunter blackmailing Joe, because that's a story from Victor David Hansen saying it was actually Hunter the whole time that was blackmailing Joe Biden. I don't know if that's true. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
But I don't think that's what it was.
But the math works.
Yeah, of course.
The math of the situation works. Mm-hmm. That's just what it comes down to. When you look at the power that was in play, well, no wonder they were all backstabbing each other and playing these games against each other. You know what? There's no other reason that you would ever hide for instance, an Ashley Biden diary if you thought it was going to politically help you.
Right.
Like, why would you send the FBI, which again is a corrupt organization, the Gestapo of the left, why would you send them to raid a journalist to get that back and to claim it's stolen property? Well, it was because what was in there was not helpful. Power and money, like through that entire family, rotted the entire thing out.
Yeah, I mean, that diary really implicated things that people said about Joe Biden way before that diary came out about sniffing little girls and children and all those rumors that people made, which were disgusting. Yeah, kind of being like a pedo, even though we're not going to say he is, but that's it came off that way. And then you get a book like that says he inappropriately showered with me to an age that should be considered inappropriate.
That is what his son, Hunter Biden, had referred to him a few times as in these legal documents. Yeah. Like he knows my dad is messed up, but you know what?
That's where that whole thing about him being, blackmailed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know things about you. You know things about me. You ain't as clean.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Very Menendez-like. You know, the Menendez is abused for a long time by a powerful father.
We need to mark the first time on this show ever, that we've been doing this show, that I knew something about a show that y'all didn't, a TV show that y'all didn't. That's the first time it's ever happened.
That's ever happened.
Ever.
Succession. There you go.
I feel like we need to celebrate it a little bit.
I watched like the first 3 episodes. I was annoyed.
I kid. When we come back, what you'll hear during Trump's inauguration after a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
Not exactly a hard-hitting political commentary, but, maybe it is. On the road in the Bortz bus last Friday, ran over something in the road. It looked like a spike. It's about 7 inches long and easily a half an inch in diameter right into a tire. I immediately had a warning in the cockpit, we'll call it, managed to get to a safe place, and here comes a tire technician to patch it up so that I could get to my destination, where, by the way, I'm buying a new tire. While he was working, I talked with him a bit. He's making some pretty good coin, over $60,000 a year, more than any college graduate with a gender studies degree or history or English or black studies will ever make. And he has no student loan debt. I remember a conversation I had with Bernie Marcus, one of the founders of Home Depot. How many, I asked him, rank and file employees working the stock, working the shelves, the aisles, the cash registers, retired as millionaires because they invested in Home Depot stock as an employee? The answer, about 3,500. None of them with student loan debt. You don't have to go to college to be a success in this country. In fact, in many ways, it can actually slow you down and be a detriment. That tire technician and the knowledgeable product experts at Home Depot are worth far more to our society and to themselves and their families than anybody with a gender studies degree. And Lord help us, how long is it going to be before people graduate with transgender studies on their diploma? God help them. Choose a trade, folks. Go after it. Live well. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
The holidays are happening at Diamonds Direct. Still rushing to finish your holiday shopping? Don't worry, we've got you covered. This weekend only, it's our last chance sale with 20% off virtually everything. Earrings, bracelets, pendants, and more. Plus special financing options up to 5 years. But don't wait, this is your final opportunity to find the perfect gift at the best value before the holidays. Plus special designer appearances. Visit us during extended holiday hours or shop online and pick up in store. Our 20% off last chance sale ends Sunday. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
With the holiday season upon us, convenience is king. And with the holiday season quickly approaching and road trips back in vogue, now more than ever, convenience becomes a must-have. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for the required service. With over 100 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2023 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience and Georgia's only 9-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best winner. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor for details.
Historian Victor Davis Hanson says the Dems are now the party of the upscale professionals, rich and subsidized poor.
Subsidized poor.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
The U.S. should stay out of it. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President-elect Trump says about Syria, as the regime collapsed amid a rebel insurgency, forcing leader Bashar al-Assad out. He fled to Russia. And amid a power vacuum in Syria now.
The U.S. and Israel aren't taking chances. American jets hitting ISIS locations. Israel targeting suspected chemical weapons sites. President Biden says the U.S. will stay involved militarily and diplomatically.
Fox's Greg Palkot. Republican Senator Tom Cotton tells Fox the fall of the Assad regime in Syria is good for the U.S. and Israel because it lessens Russia and Iran's influence in the Middle East. But
I think we have to be clear-eyed. You know, Ronald Reagan used to say about Soviet Russia, trust but verify. I think in this situation, we need to distrust and verify anyone who might come to power in Syria.
President-elect Trump keeps planning a mass deportation of immigrants who came to the U.S. illegally in a record surge, telling NBC's Meet the Press, we have to do it. But Trump adds that he wants to work out a plan to allow some so-called dreamers to stay, immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children.
In many cases, they become successful. They have great jobs. In some cases, they have small businesses. Some cases, they might have large businesses. And we're going to have to do something with them.
Trump does also want to end a constitutional provision allowing children born in the U.S. to illegal immigrant parents to be American citizens. One of the president-elect's lawyers, Elena Haba, will be working in the Trump White House.
She's going to be counselor to the president. In that announcement, the president said, quote, few understand the weaponization of the injustice system better than Alina, who has fought relentlessly against the full force of lawfare with courage and an unshakable commitment to justice.
Fox's Rich Edson near the Trump estate in West Palm Beach, Florida. Trump daughter-in-law Laura stepping down as Republican National Committee co-chair. Amid speculation, Laura Trump might replace Senator Marco Rubio in Florida if Rubio is confirmed as Secretary of State. The Golden Globe nominees just out. The musical Amelia Perez up for more awards than any other movie. 10, followed by The Brutalist and Conclave. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Want weather? Grab your phone. Need traffic? Grab your phone. Conservative news and talk, also on your phone. Get the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra. Download the app so you can listen live or on demand, however you choose to listen. Whatever's easiest for you is fine by me. And we're just glad you're here. We're just glad that you care about your country. We're glad to care about the things that deserve discussion that don't get it in the mainstream media. You are the media. Elon Musk is exactly right. And so the folks at Axios are going to hate your guts for it. Let them hate you because you are the media. You're exactly right. And we want you involved in this, too. We want you involved in our discussions because of that. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. A couple of observations that I didn't get to see until yesterday evening. Got home, I don't know, around lunchtime after church and started kind of catching up with the things that I'd missed. And let me tell you, I didn't act right, so I had plenty to amend for. But did y'all see, and I'm sure you did, the young woman who sang Amazing Grace in France at Notre Dame?
Mm-hmm.
Good heavens.
I'll bring a tear to your eye.
That was one of the most amazing things I think I've ever heard. It looks like her name was Pretty. I don't know that that's the case, but the super I'm seeing, and I can't pronounce her, maybe Yendi, Pretty Yendi, looks like her name. I don't know if that's correct, and you correct me if I'm wrong, please, at 404-741-1230, singing. She was unreal. That, and y'all know I love music, so this is why these two probably stood out to me more than any others. When George Strait, going for this I don't know, opera singer or classically trained singer to country music, George Strait over the weekend hitting the Trump dance as he walks out on stage. I thought that was legendary. I loved every second of it, and it made me smile. Both of those music moments that I'd missed over the weekend, was able to catch up with them yesterday. And love sharing them with you.
I love the Trump dance now. It's like my favorite thing, and I do it now. I do it all the time. Like, I'm not obviously on online or anything, but like anytime I want to like do a dance, I just kind of do it.
Just hit it off.
The only other dance I loved, you and I just talked about, by the way, Minnesota Vikings after destroying the Falcons.
Dude,
the White Chicks dance.
The White Chicks thing.
Yes,
amazing.
Awesome. So good.
Good.
I'm glancing over, and at first I'm going, oh, are they doing like Kid and Play? And then I'm like, no, they're not doing Kid and Play. They're going to a whole other level.
Whole new level.
And it took forever for the whole thing to develop. I mean, it was impressive. And it was, me and Rhino were talking about it out before the Fox News break was over at Lowe's. And I was like, even if they had gotten a flag on that,
okay.
Worth it.
Who cares?
Worth it.
Because it does nothing. Those flags, when it's like on kickoffs, who cares? Nothing matters. It's useless, pointless. Don't even throw it. It's so stupid.
At that point in the game, it was as if everyone just said, let them have their moments.
Yeah. Just let them have a good
like
time.
they're doing this really well.
Yeah, worst case scenario, Cousins throws another interception and they score again. So what do they care? They're not going to lose anything.
Goodness gracious. So some
Such
of the
an
things,
embarrassment, by the way, to be a Falcons fan if you are right now.
Yes, that's right.
How do you go? You were 6-3. Everybody's like, you got a 70% chance of making the playoffs.
We are back.
And then you're 6 and like, how do you get worse?
This is
you play good teams.
Falcon.
Never mind.
They falconed.
And I needed to remember this. So Kid and Play, we're getting to where it's about 35 years old. Like somewhere right around in there. So yes, White Chicks made a lot more sense for a couple of 20-year-old guys to be doing.
That's exactly right. It's so good though. I was so impressed by the precision that they handled the dance with. And remember a long time ago, because I never had a problem with end zone celebrations. I'm a pretty traditional guy by nature. I've never had an issue with people celebrating when they score. But you remember, I don't know, maybe even 10 years ago when people would have melted down over that. They would have lost their minds. The ESPNs of the world, the people that work there, Fox Sports, whomever, they would have had a huge problem with this. And they would have said it was the worst thing ever. And they would have thrown their house, unprofessional, all of it. Now, nobody thinks of it, anything of it, except for celebrating because it's fun. It's sports. It's supposed to be fun.
Fair, but unfair. Because if they were wearing a MAGA hat and they came up and celebrated after a win, or they did a Trump dance, someone's going to complain.
That's exactly
but as long as they're having a dance that has nothing to do with the extreme right, they're good to go. I love it. You know, I was one of those guys, though. Like, just shut up and play the game. You don't need to do a dance after every sack and all this. And I still think, like, there's somewhat too much. Like, if you're down by 20 and you start dancing after, like, stop. But I like
That's
it.
Fair.
I like the whole. When Terrell Owens pulled the Sharpie out of his sock and signed the football and threw it in, like,
so good.
It was brilliant, man.
So good. I loved that. When it comes to the inauguration on the 20th, Donald Trump says he's going to focus on unity, and I believe him. Maybe the only person that I believe actually cares about unity in the United States of America. That's when you're asking me, that's the way I see this. You remember the Bidens, they said they're bringing the adults back to the White House. They did anything but. They corrupted it worse than it's ever been corrupted, maybe in the history of the country. Donald Trump said he wants to reach those who didn't vote for him and let them know he wants to be a president for all Americans. That's not what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden stood up in front of a red emblazoned building in Philadelphia and called half the country extremists. So
threats to democracy.
Threats to democracy. Donald Trump says, I want to treat everybody good. We want success for the country. We want safety for the country. We want the success to bring unity. And I think all of that is the correct tack to take in this, and I'm sure everybody thinks it. And for those people, you know, that 30% that we talked about earlier, y'all, that are okay with the Hunter Biden pardon, that love Joe Biden, still think he's doing a great job, even though he's completely absent for the last 2 months, or maybe longer than that. Those people are never going to be engaging. They're never going to give Trump a chance. They're going to be a hard pass, which is fine. You know, the commie type. Those people.
They're real committed.
That's exactly right.
Hold on. Let's see what's going on at motherjones.com.
That's exactly. Those are the people that I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's your head for bluing on.
That's right. He just wants what we want as American. He wants Americans. He wants success for the country, and we want a safe country. That's it. And that's going to be the message that you'll hear on January 20th, and I think you'll be proud to be American.
I more and more want to be there if it wasn't in Washington, D.C. But regardless, I think he's already shown that unity message throughout. His entire cabinet is very diverse, which I know the left hates. He has more women that actually are women in his cabinet and coming in, and he's nominated than the left ever has. He's got really good things going on, but he also brought in Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat, Elon Musk, Democrat, RFK Jr., Democrat. The unity has been there. He brought this party back. This party was shattered after 2020, and the establishment let them know who they were and came out and said, hey, this is who we are. We're the ones that you really should be afraid of. We're the uniparty. We're the deep state guys. We're the ones who are funneling money back and forth, and he brought them all together, and I think really did a good job outing a lot of them so that they didn't win re-election. I love what Trump's been doing, and I think the same thing's going to happen throughout the inauguration and after.
Well, I just want to see I like the intentions. Let's see the results. Yeah. And I'm a believer in what he is looking to do is what I've been calling for. And so if I'm wrong, well, then I will go down with this ship. But the things I have been asking for the most part, about 85, 90% of them, have been so far before we get to this point, have been paid attention to and have been adhered to. And I believe that is why we are seeing the rise in Trump approval, because even though not in power, the items you were hoping for, the changes you were looking for within American government, you're starting to see at least the building blocks of that. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to a point where Ramaswamy and Musk are going to be able to do the sort of stuff that we're going to do. I don't know what's going to happen as far as Pete Hegseth, if he's going to get to SecDef. But as far as it stands right now, I like where it's going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm willing to play it out.
Yeah, I think most Americans, I try to say this, most fair-minded Americans, because I do believe most Americans want to be fair-minded. Even when their party doesn't win, I think they want to give the other person the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, let me see if I can fall into step with this, because I think most Americans care about the country enough to not just be that 30% that's going to denigrate it at all costs.
Well, the massive mistake of Donald Trump first time around was who he surrounded himself with. That was a huge mistake, and he admitted to it, saying that he had never governed. And so he went with, I was told to have this person. I was told that I needed to hire this person when it came to this role. And what he recognized pretty quickly is I'm surrounded by a bunch of establishment crazy people. Now, fast forward to then 2020, as you've made your firings, you've done what you've done. Then when it came to a COVID pandemic, he surrounded himself in the exact same way he did in 2016.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me that primary issue that I had in 2 different times, you're already basically saying, I spent 4 years figuring it out. Okay, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic that he's figured most of it out. And I think he's really showing that with all of his cabinet picks. I mean, I think they're all really, I know the left is going to be like, these are his loyalists, his Gestapo, his foot soldiers. They're not. These are really good, responsible people who have worked through business and other things other than politics, and that's why the left is so afraid of them.
I think you're maybe right about a lot of that. Because, look, I think those people are loyal to Donald Trump, but I think they're loyal to the law. They're loyal to the way things are supposed to operate inside the bounds of the law. So though they're loyal to Donald Trump, that doesn't mean they're not loyal to the United States of America.
I think that aspect you bring up, that is where I'm excited about people like Tulsi Gabbard, because I believe that her loyalty, yes, there's probably going to be some to Trump. That obviously they've gotten elected together in this way, but loyalty first is the mission. Mm-hmm. And he has intentionally brought in people, including Robert Kennedy. That dude is not like the blind loyalist to Donald Trump. He's a blind loyalist to the mission of getting America healthy. Mm-hmm. Like, these are the people that you want. Enough of when we bring in, under Clinton. Still remember Donna Shalala, who ran the University of Michigan, and they brought her in, and they were like, well, you're now going to be in charge of health. She'd never done anything in that, but it was a reward.
Yeah.
It was a reward for service.
Well, it's supposed to be that way. And when you see what he did here in Georgia alone with David Perdue, who has been brilliant and is continually brilliant, and Kelly Loeffler, these are good business people, and he put them in charge of things because, yes, they were loyal. They understood where the weaponization against him was. They understood what the media was doing to him, and they stood up. It wasn't loyalty is not a bad thing the way the left wants to always make it out to be.
As long as you're loyal to the law first.
Correct.
But who else are you going to surround yourself by? With people that aren't loyal to you? That makes no sense whatsoever.
Already did that in 2016.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't need to do that again.
Yeah, tried
He
and
found
failed.
the snakes. He found the snakes.
Liberal John's on the phone. We haven't heard from him in a little bit. 447-441-1230. How you been, bud?
Hey, man. Merry Christmas.
To you as well.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, so I've been impressed so far as the interviews and stuff, and I do think that he'll try and unify as much as possible. And I was telling the screener that, as bad as I hate to say it, I've been impressed with the Republicans screening out the picks as well, like Matt Gaetz and this guy Pete. I'm going to ruin his last name.
Hegseth is getting in, brother.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think he's going to make the cut. But if he does, at least he's been put through the scrutiny. But I really don't think he's going to make the cut with the drinking and everything.
Six-pack bet?
Same thing with Matt Gaetz.
Oh.
They sent Matt Gaetz running back, and he didn't make the cut. So I have a little bit of faith. And I also remember Donald Trump was a Democrat until he ran for president.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then people that are surrounding him, John, have been very liberal, too. Or at least Democrats. I mean, I say very liberal.
Yeah. John, I don't know if you heard him, but Carlos would love to make a six-pack bet with you because I think Carlos is right. I think Hegseth gets through only because, Jody Ernst is going to come around and she is going to, she's been doing the vetting and she's the holdout right now. So
she's
just giving you the odds. Are you in, John?
Am I in?
Yeah, for the six-pack bet on Hegseth?
On the six-pack bet, sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Sweet. Well, thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always good to hear from you, John. We love hearing from you.
Six-pack bet in part because what it's turned is that you now have a senator who stepped forth trying to get that job, and within 72 hours, the taking a look at her record has now wrecked her own political career for going against Hegseth.
Yeah.
The only people that are talking about Hegseth not getting the job, and John, this is where the issue is, are on MSNBC.
That's it.
Everybody else around the Senate are like, nope, he's getting because they're worried about being primaried and going against one of these.
Yeah, it only makes sense. John, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate you listening, man. Love your perspective, love your point of view, and love to talk to you whenever you have time to call in. And you too, at 404-741.
And I'm going to
Smart guy.
Tall Boys. All right. So
Okay.
Tall Boys, maybe, I don't know, maybe a Miller Lite. We'll figure it out.
There we go. I like it.
Get some Ultra Right.
That's right.
That's the good stuff. Make him walk in and buy Ultra Right.
Come on now. There's no sense in rubbing salt in the wound.
I'm glad we keep it neutral. Nobody will think of you differently by what you have to buy.
Absolutely not. The Trump cases are falling apart just left and right in Georgia, too.
Look, I'm glad Liberal John's off the phone because he's about to hate what I'm saying because he gave me the nickname Papa FB. He said it, and it was for one reason, because I talked about Fani Willis and he didn't like it. Fani Willis is a complete disaster of a human. She is a horrible DA, and she is pretty much done. And the reason is, it's not even because of the Trump trials. Let me just go to the YSL where she had this big racketeering. I'm going to put them all away. And then people are dead and nobody got held responsible. Her entire case fell apart. The entire RICO trial was a complete disaster. And now the Trump's one is as well. Everybody in the Trump case is starting to look back. Kenneth Chesebro is one who said, you know what, I want to change my plea because they realized, just like in YSL, where the jury came out and said, if Young Thug would have just stayed in there and not pleaded guilty, we would have let him go free too, because the state put all this stuff in front of us and it's all garbage. Same thing here. And I think that every single one of the defendants should ask, except for Jenna Ellis, because she's just I'm not even.
Her case is over with.
Yeah, hers is done. She already pleaded. Case. She's settled. She's gone. She shouldn't be able to go out and do any of this. But Kenneth Chesebro and everybody else should change their pleas and go ahead and ride this out.
Jenna Ellis was one of the people that it had. She got up in front of the court and she did what she thought she had to do, which was, I'm going to give you the contrition moment.
That's right.
I'm so wrong for having done this. I should never have done it.
And I don't know. I don't even think she believes it.
Oh, no, she doesn't.
Then she's stuck here.
Mm-hmm. No, I know.
Because she didn't have the character or the resolve to stand on her belief system.
Yeah.
So that's fine. That's how that goes. But this is very much like, for instance, have you ever been in a scenario where you went to go clean up all the dog doo in your yard and you were told, like, by your son or your daughter or your wife or anyone, they were going to give you help? Because that's what I deal with. Mm-hmm. Hey, Dad, I'm going to give you help. And before I know it, I'm left alone in the backyard with a big pile of poo and just my big old bag of doo-doo. Nobody helped me out on anything. That is what you have going on with Fani Willis. She was told by the White House, if you do this, here's what we're going to do. She campaigned for it, and now she's the one stuck in the state of Georgia holding this bag and nobody there to help her.
Yeah, they set her up. I mean, that's a problem. Look, they said, hey, we want you to handle this because, hey, you're one of our foot soldiers. But she had nothing, and it's all falling apart. It continues to fall apart, just like the YSL. This is about to fall apart. I think Judge Scott McAfee needs to throw all of these cases out right away. I think Fani Willis, I'll actually be happy that this all gets thrown out so all the pressure comes off her, because you don't want to see the corruption that happens here in Fulton County.
Her political career's dead.
No, of course we do.
Like, it's DED dead. It's not even DEAD. It's just dead.
She was supposed to run for governor, and that's out now.
Not a chance of it.
Or attorney general.
They burned all of this political capital.
Yeah.
And by the time it's all over with, now they have to look at those people, because the Democrats do it as much as anybody. You lose. There's no coming back from this sort of stuff.
No. The FBI is being made a fool by the NYC shooter. Next on the Morning Extra, Tug, Rhino, and Los until 10. Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
The same ballless bastards who wouldn't stand up when Biden came up with the most embarrassing and worst withdrawal in the history of the U.S. military.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't stand up when they pushed drag queens in recruitment, and now they can't get anybody to join. Who didn't stand up when the DI stuff was shoved down their throat, where they'd all kept quiet in the background, will suddenly find their balls when Trump is president. This is the same military a few years ago when Milley was in charge, who said he would alert the Chinese military if Trump was going to do something against them, which is treason. Why is his head not on a pike?
That story disappeared. That story was a story for maybe a day and a half, and it was like a side note saying, well, he even told the Chinese once he really ought to, and it was just like it was like a Shakespearean aside. That black ram is stopping here like you. I mean, I couldn't freaking believe it. It's gone. Nobody remembers that stuff.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hey, Roswell. Looking for the perfect bite this football season? Head on over to Nucky's Hoagie's Roswell Corners, where every sandwich is crafted with love by us.
The Sub Sisters,
Stacy
and Shannon. Whether you're looking to cater a football tailgate party or grabbing lunch to go or dining in, we've got delicious Nucky's menu items for you. When you bite into a Nucky's Hoagies, you'll taste the difference. The softest hoagie rolls ever, with the freshest ingredients that'll make your taste buds dance.
Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell Corners on Woodstock Road your new favorite sandwich spot.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and thank all of you who have made Lee Brandt a success. There is no greater feeling than making Christmas special for someone you love. And special Christmas memories are made at Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches, where quality, value, and service are the Lee Brandt difference. Also, check out Lee Brandt's pre-owned Rolex watches for a timeless gift that will be cherished forever. Located in Sandy Springs in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center, or visit LeeBrandt.com.
You and your buddy. You've been through a lot with each other. The ups and the downs. He's been with you every morning, noon, and night. You've traveled the world together. Heck, he was even with you on your first big date. But have you noticed he's struggling lately? Not performing on the job. He can't even stand up straight anymore. He's wanting to cry out for help, but just doesn't know how. He needs Dr. Dio and Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They can give him the gift of good posture this year, help him stand proud and become all he was meant to be. Now, take him by the hand, look him in the eye and say, I appreciate you, little fella, and we're going to get you some help. We're going to call 404-777-1911. We're going to visit tbtofga.com. We are going to say goodbye to erectile dysfunction forever. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. It's a hard conversation to have, but it's one worth having. Learn more online at tbtofga.com.
Have you thought about securing your hard-earned assets? Do you have concerns about the future? Protecting assets is crucial, and that's where Nelson Elder Care Law excels. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we provide absolute assurance and peace of mind through our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust, tailored services in estate planning, probate administration, Medicaid crisis solutions, guardianship, and conservatorship. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and empower informed decisions. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com for asset protection and peace of mind.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, December 9th. Detectives in DeKalb County are investigating a possible murder-suicide involving 5 people. A family member concerned about 43-year-old mother Molly Johnson went to check on her and made a gruesome discovery. Molly was found dead along with her 26-year-old sister. Her 5-year-old niece and 1-year-old nephew. Police also found a 32-year-old male dead at the scene. The preliminary investigation points to a possible murder-suicide, but detectives continue to investigate. New York police detectives are in Atlanta working with the Atlanta Police Department to gather information about the suspected shooter in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Police believe the shooter may have taken a Greyhound bus from the Atlanta station to New York prior to the shooting. Investigators were at the station but believe it's unlikely that the killer can be tracked back to the Forsyth Street location. And in sports, Kirk Cousins struggles again, throwing 2 more interceptions. This brings his total to 8 interceptions and no touchdowns in his past 4 games. The Falcons now fall to 6-7 after a brutal 42-21 defeat by the Minnesota Vikings. The loss moves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into first place in the NFC South, placing the Falcons' playoff hopes in jeopardy. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Extra 106.3.
9 o'clock hour brought to you by Southern Exteriors, who gave away a free roof to a deserving family in their Home for the Holidays campaign. Just some good folks to work with if you need some stuff done to the exterior of your home: windows, doors, siding, roof. If you need a back deck built, if you need a back deck screened in, they can do it all. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co is their website. Was able to spend some time with them at the 680 The Fan tailgate before the SEC championship game. The finest folks, man. They're just good folks. So if you don't need any of that stuff, not asking you to buy it, but when you do, call on them first. They share your values. Tug Rhino with Lois until 10. Still looking for the killer of the United Healthcare. His name is Brian Thompson. And we've seen smiling faces. We've seen the person's face that is the number one suspect. And still, they've not been able to track this man down. This seems unlikely to be even possible, the way that they track people down these days, Rhino.
It blows my mind. But I think this is something bigger and deeper. I think there are other people that probably are connected, helping him along the way and keeping him hidden from the police, because there's no other explanation how he could get out of New York with cameras, by the way, on every single building, street. I mean, there's got to be 2,000 cameras within a 3-block radius. The fact that this guy has disappeared would lead me to believe that he's got help. He's hiding. They're keeping him hidden as far as and quick. They have to know who he is at this point.
If you're telling me that you've got a backpack, I'm telling you've got to change. Like, there is a portion of me that if you're telling me that he was able to escape New York, as they're now talking about, that he's no longer in the area.
Yeah.
I think they firmly believe that he ducked into somewhere, changed, and now suddenly you're looking for a completely different person.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. That's why you would carry a backpack in order. This guy planned this thing out. As much as you might say, he's not a professional. All right, fine. But he did a lot of things that are tradecraft. Like, he did some research to know how to do this.
I don't know if he's not professional anymore, because the reality is in the backpack they found Monopoly money, almost teasing that he's ahead of them. They found a fingerprint, and they still can't identify him through the fingerprint. I don't know what's going on with this guy, how good he is. He seems to be making mistakes, and he's very confident by allowing his face to be seen and taking cabs and doing things, knowing that there are cameras and all of these things. It's almost as if he's playing with them at this point.
Well, they keep calling these images a person of interest.
Yeah.
They're not telling you it's a suspect. It's almost as if, hey, this person had some sort of interaction with this person. Does he know who it is? Like, if you were to tell me this is the suspect, but everyone has been, here's a potential person of interest, here's a potential person of interest.
Yeah. I've seen him called the suspected shooter, though.
Yeah, I saw that too over the week, but I've not watched a lot of news, so maybe I just saw it as a listing on Twitter where I stay, or X where I stay. But I don't know about y'all. When you look at what they did with the January 6th suspects, and I know we always go back to that, but they were tracking people down left and right. They're able to uncover people from coast to coast without any issue, without any problem. You're telling me they can't find one dude that they have video of him going into Central Park?
I'm telling you, I highly doubt. If this guy was, if you were telling me that Los, need you to commit this act, all right, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm leaving my cell phone at home.
Yeah.
Like, and home is in, like, state of Georgia.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to give you any sort of device.
Atlanta, so.
I'm not going to give you any sort of device that you can track. I'm not going to be wearing your low jack that you wear on your wrist.
Yeah.
It can find you without a problem. This is
easy.
If you do this in an analog way, with as little technology as possible, you have the first step, because our police, as they've been trained to do, as they should do, is recognize that most people will make mistakes based on the fact that they're carrying around digital devices.
The digital exhaust, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's weird because even people like, I've seen some guys who go off grid a lot and they said, let me see if I could totally escape, and they've had people track them down even when they've been completely off grid. It is amazing that this man has made it through as long as he has, and nobody, again, they must know who this person is, this person of interest, that they've got to have facial recognition at this point. We've seen his face too many times. He's disappeared. He's completely disappeared, which makes me think that, yeah, maybe he is better than we thought he was. He's not as silly or as ridiculous as people said he was originally, yeah.
Are y'all surprised, though, that no one's come forward with more information? Because I am a little bit. And I feel like in the beginning, they were feeding a little more information than they are now. Is that to say that they're closing in? I don't know. But it goes back. Didn't we have this discussion last week?
Yeah.
You know, just when they feed you information, they feed you the information they want to.
Right.
And that way, you know they're working on it. But the more information they give you, it's because they need your help.
They're desperate.
The less information, which I don't feel like, and maybe it's because I was at the ball game, didn't see a lot of news this weekend, that I've not seen any information on this other than they can't find him.
Well, not only that, but they also took the reward from $10,000 to $50,000, so they're getting desperate to try to find this man, and they can't find him. Again, this is somebody who's disappeared. His family, there's no family coming forward. You would know, if you see his face, you know who he is. So this is a person who has either really close friends that all are part of the same kind of organization that he might be from, that fight and may, continually do really bad things, and they're hiding him. Or his family loves him so much, they're not letting anybody know, but it doesn't make sense that they cannot track him down at all. They found his backpack at Central Park. They're looking for the guns still. This guy has done a very good job of disappearing.
So if you want to bring up Brian Kohlberger, if you know the story about stabbing those students in Idaho, and for months, people would do Dateline NBC style shows. Like, why don't they have anything? Why can't they track this guy down? What? Turns out they had a lot of good information.
Yeah.
They had a lot of cell phone information, cell phone data. And what they did is all that time while we were asking, why can't they do this? They were building their case so that by the time that they were bringing this guy in, they knew where he was, that they were going to be able to say, ironclad, here's what we got, here's what you were doing, here's the information, everything's here, so that when we put this in front of a grand jury, they're going to give us all the indictments we want as far as for murder. So to me,
they're dropping clues that they know who he is already.
If they're giving out all this information, it's because they are desperate. They are like, we can't get this guy. In Kohlberger's case, the police didn't tell you anything because they felt really good about what they were doing.
Yeah, and they're telling you every step of the way that the fingerprint didn't match this, that, the other. I mean, those are the kind of... That's why I'm like, maybe this guy is a professional. Maybe he's made himself look like he wasn't, but ended up being. I find it really interesting as well, too, that internet sleuths are on this. After it gets to $50,000, internet, kids and everybody is out looking for this guy. It's become a national phenomenon at this point.
Man, can you imagine if this is one of those that just goes cold and they can't? How bad?
I don't think it will.
Our nor do I, but it just hits me when I'm talking about it, and the fact that we can't.
I mean, this isn't Eric Rudolph. Like, Eric Rudolph,
he just went up in the mountains.
He got a run for quite a while because you were talking about, again, bombings.
Yeah.
And if there's only so much signature you can get from that. This is different. We got a video of a guy committing the crime in the middle of New York City and then being able to track him down, and yet he's given everybody the ability to find his backpack, not find any information, find his whereabouts. Well, only sort of. We got a general idea. We think he came from Atlanta. Don't have anything more than that. Like, there's so much here that you go, how is that happening?
So one of the funny stories that I read over the weekend, too, by the way, not that any of what's going on here is funny with the actual shooting. And
of course. Right.
But one of the funny things is that New York Police Department came down here, worked with the Atlanta Police Department. They went to the Greyhound station off Forsyth Street, and they started talking. And Greyhound, they said, is doing a great job working with them, trying to figure things out. They went out and they started speaking to some of the people that are there. And they asked one of the men that was there, and he's like, Man, there are a lot of people that come to this station all the time, and if a white man like that walked out here, like, I hate to tell you, but this is a very black area. Everybody would have known if he was here, and I don't think he was here. So they're starting to say maybe he didn't originate in Atlanta as well, and they don't think he left and took the bus from here. So they're very confused on a lot of these things, but it was really funny to hear him say, that white guy would have stood out like a sore thumb.
Right.
It's funny you put it that way, because, and I know they document it in the show Mindhunter, but it is in the books. They talked about how when there was the FBI investigation into the Atlanta child murders, that the point one of the reasons why they started looking at a potential black suspect is because if there was a white guy in the neighborhood doing this in these neighborhoods,
somebody noticed.
Everyone would have been like, who is that dude?
Yeah.
It's like, how did you move around with impunity? Somehow this guy has found himself in an area where he was able to move around with impunity and no one thought anything of it.
Yeah. And the whole changing of clothes thing, every criminal changes clothes. I mean, for the most part, at least in every TV show I've seen with criminals, they have. You know what I mean?
If I'm that dude, I'm plucking my eyebrows. His eyebrows are distinct as can be. And
all of it. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's baffling to me. And maybe I just don't know enough about, detective work, police work to really understand. I've not watched enough TV shows.
It's not if there's no digital footprint, then you have to depend on eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
And right now, that is not seemingly working out. This is now, this happened, Monday? Last Monday, Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, we're a week
right
in.
As we were getting off the air Monday, or I think at right at 9.
Right about 9
or at least that's when the breaking
And if you told me somebody shot someone on the street in New York City, I'd say, we got him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I guess it shouldn't be surprising.
You can't get 3 blocks without us finding them. That's what I would think in New York.
Yeah, with all the cameras, but then there was that whole bag of cocaine in the White House, most secure.
One has nothing to do with the other.
No, by no means. Yeah. No means, but I'm just saying, you've got the most secure building in the world. They tell you, they have no idea. This is the most filmed city in the world, the most observed.
You're not saying that they're ignoring this guy for a reason.
No, I'm not. I'm just confused as to why in a place that's the most surveyed in the world that they're having this trouble.
You want me to tell you a secret?
Yes. Yeah.
And the police will tell you this as well.
Okay.
Police will admit this. Police depend on stupidity.
Yeah.
Because
this guy's not stupid.
And this guy is not making the common mistakes that most people make. Police are smart people and they have experience and they go, most criminals are going to do something, 2 or 3 things that are all dumb and it's going to get them locked up. If this guy didn't do any or only did 1, it's why it makes it harder.
Man,
that doesn't make me feel better. Which I know you're telling the truth. I know you're right.
Most criminals are dumb. They do dumb things.
It's because unless you've thought it out well enough and you've physically said, here's what I can't do, here's what gets me caught, or I don't know, these people, if it's like an Antifa guy, and they've been working at this stuff for how long? I mean, they
know how to get out of everything.
It seems like.
And the reality of it is, you start to watch, I think social media, I think TV, everything that we've done, all these expanded channels about how to get away with murder and get away with these kind of things. I mean, if you start putting things together and you really plan it out, it's obvious that you can disappear. This guy's done, in the busiest and the only city that I know is 24/7.
Yeah, right down from Times Square. Come on,
that dude. I don't know. He's gone. He's gone by now.
I think I don't know that I think it's watching a whole lot of TV gets you that, but I do think experience with the law, experience with law enforcement or evading them, like some people in Antifa, some professional criminals do. I do think there's probably a. What is it, the dark web? I think there's probably, notes on how to get away.
Apparently if you want to get away with bad things, all you have to do is be in Fulton County Court and DA Fonnie Willis will mess it up for you anyway. Get away free.
And you thought BLM was dead and gone. Not a chance. They are back next on Extra 106.3 as we wrap up the bonus hour.
The latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust. Your best new follow on social media is Extra 106.3. We're at XTRA 106.3 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events, and so much more. Follow @Xtra1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
Hey, it's Rhino, and, as we talk about this shooter who was well prepared for this, well, this is not the kind of preparation you need. The kind of preparation you need is for emergencies like hurricanes, water contamination, chemical spills that burn over there. Make sure that you have everything you need in case of any emergency, and I'm talking about freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid kits, largest selection of AR-15s, firearms, firearm accessories, ammo, all of that. You need it. You need to make sure that your family's safe, and there's only one place that you can go, and that's True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. It's right around the corner of Christmas. I'm telling you, if you buy a sweater for your dad or mom, or if you buy things like ties or, pot handles and stuff like that for Ma, she's going to be really pissed. What you need to do is you need to be getting her the gift of preparedness. And right now you can get her a gift card. $50 gift card gets you another $5 bonus card that you can use for yourself and not even give to them if you want. But the reality is you need to make sure that your family is safe and prepared. So you want to go to True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. Go visit them online as well. You get all the details about their gift card program right now and their holiday savings. They got a lot of great stuff on sale. They also always have the Intro to Emergency Preparedness and many great workshops that you can even send your family to, so they know everything to keep them safe. Go to TruePrep.com. That's TRU Prep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with our friends at True Prep.
Are you tired of dealing with loud, ugly, drafty garage doors? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Now is a great time to upgrade with brand new, efficient, quiet, and beautiful garage doors. Your garage door is the biggest opening in your home, which is why it's such an important part of your home's curb appeal and energy efficiency. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078. Get started today by visiting us at allfourseasonsgarages.com.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. We all know that Affordable Care Act is hardly affordable. Those pricey health insurance premiums are killing me. Hey, if you could save up to 60% of your current monthly premiums and get better coverage at a price you can afford, if you're self-employed or self-insured, a small business owner, you got that COBRA thing going, I got a guy, Steven, the health insurance doctor, can easily solve your health insurance dilemma. Steven will customize a comprehensive, zero-deductible, nationwide PPO something. I don't know what that is, but he sure does, and it's available immediately. You can have the freedom to choose any doctor or any hospital, save thousands of dollars of annual premiums, enhance benefits like dental, vision, cancer, accidental policies, and stuff like that. Many current clients are saving more than $10,000 a year. Call my guy, Steven, the health insurance doctor, and see how much you can save. 678-523-0759. There's no charge. It's free to you. You don't have to pay him. Health insurance doesn't have to stink anymore. Call Steven, the health insurance doctor, 678-523-0759. Online, healthinsuranceDoctor.net.
Securing America.
At the recent Reagan National Defense Forum, one of the panel discussions focused on how best to deal with Iran and its support of proxy terrorist groups such as the Houthis. Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst, a veteran who served in the Middle East, says to start with Iranian funding for terrorism.
To degrade the Houthis, we need to go back to their financial supporters, their backers.
The senator also says the U.S. needs to take a harder line.
We've got to get serious about this. The Houthis need to fear us. They don't fear us. Hamas certainly didn't fear us.
Senator Ernst adding,
we have to show strength. We have to mean it. We can't make a red line in the sand and then not do anything about it.
Israel's ambassador to the U.S., Michael Herzog, also advocated tough action against Iran because
Iran is not, the 800-pound gorilla that everyone thought it is.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The Extra 106.3 app is your live connection to the station, streaming free across Georgia. But it's also loaded with all our original shows and podcasts. Listen to exclusive shows from Janelle King, Ben Burnett, and so many more. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra, about ready to wrap up this Monday edition of the show. Thank you for being here. Appreciate everybody who dialed in. Appreciate everybody who checked in on the YouTube channel and on the Extra 106.3 app, which is the most convenient way to listen. Please download that wherever you get your apps. I guess it would be the App Store or the Google Play Store. And all you do is search for XTRA 106.3 FM Atlanta. You'll find us and download it and listen to us at your convenience and be engaged with us at your convenience as well. If you thought, wow, man, you know what? I've not heard of BLM making any noise lately. I believe those jokers done gone away. Turns out they've not.
4 years ago, we'd have people quaking in their boots at this radio station when they'd be like, don't say anything about BLM.
Yeah.
Half of them worked down the hall on the left, and they would be like, you can't say that about BLM. I said, well, they're an organization that, as I read through their charter, they don't believe Israel should exist, and they believe in Marxist principles. I kind of think this is a faulty organization.
Yep.
Well, fast forward 4 years, and BLM ended up stealing all the money.
$6 million.
Well, let's face it. They helped a lot of kids through college. No, they didn't.
No,
they built back some parks.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Oh, no.
They helped train police officers to better work in minority neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Nope, didn't do that either.
No.
Instead, they took the money and they ran off with it. So take a listen. This is, and I didn't know we even still had BLM representation, or at least somebody who would even claim this. This is after Daniel Penny ends up getting the trial. They said goes to hung jury, and here's what goes on until they're turning him loose, and as they should have. Take a listen to this BLM representative in New York City who has a real problem with this verdict.
Racism is still alive and kicking in America. There's no other way to view this. Everyone has looked at the case, and those among you who say that Daniel Penny is innocent have racism and bias in your heart. If you look at the facts of this case, then you understand that Daniel Penny is guilty. But today, white supremacy got another victory. Today, the KKK, the Klansmen, the evil in America got another victory. They got that top charge dismissed. America shall continue to America and shall continue to place second-class status on black people.
All right, let me just point out. Everything you said there 4 years ago would have made them a lot of money.
Well, that's what this is about.
Now it's turned into, man, y'all are so full of it. I saw what happened on video. Come on.
Everybody saw it.
The realization is this is a grift to try to bring back that money and raising and energy and blah, blah, blah by this fake racism. The BLM movement, the BLM in general, is the most racist, disgusting organization you can ever be a part of. And if you want to spend money and send them money, then they'll be happy because they'll buy another mansion with all your money and not ever get anything done but come out in front of news and lie. Because the reality of this, it went to a jury of their peers, a very diverse jury. He doesn't even understand that the decision was made by people who look completely different than a white Daniel Penny. He's a race baiter. That's all he is.
You had, under their filings from 2020 to 2022, so the heart of George Floyd and BLM, and we're going to make all this money, and we're going to put together all this white guilt. They're going to hand us a bunch of money over, and then this is what we're going to do with it. They made about $90 million in charitable donations. They socked away $60 million of it. 30 is all they can account for that went to a couple of different BLM other organizations. Again, the NGOs where you move money around in order to create the stuff that you need to create within a society. 60 million, though, was pocketed. All right, they ran off with it.
And they
disappeared.
In the statement that you just heard them say, or the man say, he never brought up that there were two black men that helped Daniel Penny hold Jordan Neely down.
No, they're white supremacists.
And they never mentioned the black women on the train on video when the cops were interviewing people saying, thankfully, Daniel Penny held him down because he said he was going to kill us all. I don't know how you overlook that.
Because they're white supremacists now, too.
I don't know how you don't take that into consideration.
Breonna Taylor's family, for as much as that was such a big story about what happened to her, their mother called BLM a fraud.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a total fraud. This was a total grift. This was an organization that was used to pilfer money from around the country and then to make it disappear. So the idea that there's still people representing themselves as BLM, like, that's the first person you should be going, that dude is standing up right now trying to enrich himself based on a death and trying to make it into white supremacy, wherein, as the court was looking into and the jury recognized, this was not murder.
No.
Anybody that has eyes to see, ears to hear, and a mind to think already knows that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are starting to ignore, those kind of comments like this guy.
But now say it.
Yeah,
BLM's a fraud. BLM was always a fraud.
They've always been a fraud. Look, the BLM is a complete, it's made up just to, it's exactly what we said. It's a grift. It's a way to make money. It's a way to have an excuse and not actually have any kind of merit to do anything else but cause problems. These are professional trolls that you give money to, and they keep your money and never actually get things accomplished. And I challenge anybody who is a BLM, supporter, tell me what BLM has done for the community besides create more problems.
You're not going to find anything. But the other that we haven't mentioned quite yet is the fact that Alvin Bragg dropped every charge. Well, I say every. 60% of all charges were busted down to a lesser crime. If it was a felony, it was brought to a misdemeanor. Mm-hmm. If it was a misdemeanor, it probably wasn't charged at all, wasn't prosecuted at all. No one's bringing that fact up. Like, all of a sudden, it's just with Donald Trump and Daniel Penny that you're going for full board. That should probably carry a little more weight than it's getting discussed.
BLM had found something in Daniel Penny and looked at him and said, "Hey, this is a perfect person we can prosecute and really use as a scapegoat. Look at him; he's got blonde hair. He's strong. He's a military guy. He's everything that we want." And the right is looking at him saying, "Why are we even doing this?" And then they turn it into a race game, and that's what this was. The fact of the matter is this: Jordan Neely was garbage. He was complete garbage. And by that, I mean he was a drug addict. He pushed somebody in front of a train. He hurt people left and right. And he came on that train that day to hurt someone, kill someone, and go to jail like he said. I don't care what they say that, he was a great impersonator. No, he wasn't. He was somebody who was there to cause problems that day. And there was a hero on the other side, and the hero stopped him along with everybody else on that train, and they all appreciated it. Stop giving BLM any time.
Well, he only had one arrest.
Oh, no, he didn't. There was
3.
Keep going.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger number.
What are we getting to 30?
Yeah,
30.
Something crazy.
Including pushing someone in front of a subway train.
Yeah. Nobody has time for this nonsense.
It's like you're going to have a hard time. Like, martyrs are a lot harder to come by after George Floyd. You better be able to put something pretty good together in this case. And they always do the same thing. The left will always march out these people smiling, looking really nice. Hey, I'm a Michael Jackson impersonator. Yeah. You weren't that day. You were a drugged out weirdo threatening to hurt people.
And then their family comes out of nowhere. Where were you while he was struggling? Stop blaming. Everybody's blaming this kid, Daniel Penny, for not getting him help. Where's his family? They only came out after he was dead looking for a payday, lined up with BLM and said, "We loved him." You didn't love him. You left him on the street.
It's a bad situation all the way around. You hate to see it happen, but you're happy to see people like Daniel Penny, who is not afraid to do the right thing. Now, pending the outcome of this trial, that might change that altogether, which will be bad for the country. I don't expect that, though, y'all.
No, I think it's going to be all right.
A deadlock jury, he's in pretty good shape right now.
Let's us hope. That's all we can do is hope. We're glad that you're here. Thank you for that. For Rhino, Los, Board Up, Goey, Virgin River, my name is Tug. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Hey, it's Flounder, and the Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
Leonardo DiCaprio, huh? Oh, he's 50.
Someone pointed out yesterday that it's the movie Inception, which was about dreams.
Yeah.
That thing where he's married and his wife is there. That's obviously a dream because she was not under 24.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.